Hello and welcome to episode 17 of the ABC podcast. I am your host, Alex, and I am joined once more by Rando Brando Park.
That was a good one. Thank you.
And for the second week in a row, we have a guest on this show.
Not
a random
by my
person
choice.
that we pulled off the street. Just kidding. It's Robyn.
Hi, I'm Robyn.
That's all you need to know about her, apparently.
I'm Alex's fiance. Guess that's the most important thing. And I'm the number one fan, as you've heard from my emails.
That's not true.
Definitely true.
Anyway, so we've got a regular show for you this week where you've got our corrections, ABC segments, news, fanfic fights. We're going to talk about Whiplash, which we're all super excited about. And yeah, but before we get to any of that, we've got a new subscription box open. So, actually, I'll go ahead and knock one of the corrections out of the way first. So on episode 15, not episode 16, we opened up the June box from Marvel Collector's Corps, and that was the Women of Power theme. And we were talking about how it had been a while since the last time we'd opened up a subscription box, and we couldn't remember which one it was. I thought it was the DC TV box, but it was actually the Star Wars Smuggler's Bounty,
Is that the one we got with Boba Fett?
Yeah, the Bounty Hunters theme box. And that was on episode 11. So
It was still a while.
Yep. But anyway, now we've got the DC TV box, and our theme this month is Suicide Squad, the movie coming out.
That you're not excited about.
Exactly. So, Brandon, why don't you go ahead and tell them about what the box looks like?
So on the top of the box is a silhouette of Harley Quinn, and on her cheek it says Rotten. And on the other side of her cheek it has a little heart. And on the top it says Legion of Collectors. The side, Legion of Collectors. The side, Legion of Collectors. The back, $30.99. Alex's apartment. The bottom, his address. Sorry, I was reading that.
All right, so let's open this bad boy up. Get it, bad boy, because they're bad guys? Never mind. All right.
Oh, by the way, I was watching a little bit of Assault on Arkham.
Nice.
Really good. Really good.
All right, so on the top of the box, we have the members of the Suicide Squad, but not like drawings. It's the actual pictures from the upcoming movie. So that's an interesting choice, I must say.
It's
pretty...
got...
Oh, yeah.
Everything's like in a grid-shaped formation. So we have Deadshot with his mask on, aka Will Smith, the Fresh Prince. We have Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Suicide Squad, Killer Croc, Katana. I don't know who this guy is.
Diablo. It's
Diablo?
right there.
Huh?
Right there.
It's really weird cursive, man. Some guy with facial hair.
I think he works for Argus.
That's like how many people?
Well, but never mind. Forget it. Anyway, so you've got the patch and pin, as always. The patch is Katana, and so it says Suicide Squad in one corner, and then on the side, there's a picture of a flower, and then some kanji. And then on the bottom, it says Katana with a little blade running through it. Legion of Collectors, and it's got her mask in the middle of the patch. So it looks pretty cool. I'm really curious what this Japanese says. And then the pin is just
Probably says like
Deadshot
soup or
face.
something.
You don't read Japanese, so...
I'm just saying, like, you know those people who get Asian characters as a tattoo, but
Yeah.
they don't know what it says? And then they'll say like something really simple like water or soup or something.
And then for the pin, we've got Deadshot with his face. Did I say that already? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Brandon distracted me. All right, inside the
job.
box, we've got another flyer that they've been giving us for the past few times. That's great. So spoilers all over the place.
I'm so excited.
We've got the Suicide Squad #1 comic with the variant cover with a pop version of Harley Quinn holding up some cards, 3 Jokers. Then for the t-shirts.
Yeah, just throw your trash on the floor. Thanks, Alex.
So the t-shirt is Suicide Squad, the logo, and then it's got 5 pop versions of some of the main characters from the movie. So it's Joker, Harley Quinn, Deadshot Unmasked, Katana, and the Argus dude on the end. So looks pretty cool. I'm gonna wear this whenever I go see the movie. Oh, and I should say it's not a black T-shirt. It's a nice. What color would you call this? Like a
Heather blue?
okay.
No, that doesn't make sense.
Some light shade of blue. So that's really nice.
Steel blue. There we
Okay.
go.
Like blue steel, like Zoolander. No, have you never seen it?
I've never seen it.
Bruh. Then, okay. So this is interesting. So we got a Joker reaction figure. Reaction is another toy line from Funko. It's basically just an action figure, but I'd say they're a little bit more detailed than most. And so this is the first reaction figure we've gotten in any of the Funko subscription boxes.
Look at those abs.
So that's interesting. Oh, sorry. Just kidding. There's 2 reaction figures.
Oh.
What do you know? So the first one was Joker, and the second one is Harley Quinn. She does not look like Margot Robbie, though.
Mm-mm. She kind of has a man face a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Make of that what you will. But the pop vinyl, which of course is, let's be honest, it's the only reason I subscribe to these boxes. The pop vinyl
You get a
is
free shirt.
Enchantress, who is also a member of the Suicide Squad in the movie, and she looks pretty darn creepy. Okay, and then we also have another surprise package. So I'm 99% sure I know what this is. So hopefully I can keep this in the recording, because if not, that would be weird. You guys want to speculate on what it might be?
A shirt.
Nope.
A game.
No. I wouldn't open something that uninteresting on air.
What, a game?
Yeah.
Dude, you talk about stats all the time.
What's your point?
You do like to buy the games you'll never use.
What's your point?
Ooh. Dude, what is this, drugs? It's got like the paper bag and the plastic bag and the wrapping and everything.
I've never bought drugs before, so I could be wrong, but I don't think they wrap drugs in wrapping paper. So I have here a very, very nice custom Luigi amiibo that I won on Twitter, courtesy of Amiibo News and AKS Hop 08. She's a really talented amiibo customizer, and this Luigi's Mansion amiibo looks just amazing. So I am looking forward to taking it home and scanning it in to see what it does, because I actually don't know. So it's hard to describe. There's a lot of detail on it. So instead of trying to tell you everything that's here, I'll take a picture and I'll put it on my Twitter. So just look for that. And yeah, it's really cool. What do you guys think?
I like it. There's a lot of detail on it.
I was gonna guess amiibo, but it wasn't in the big box that it's usually in.
Yep. So hooray for Twitter giveaways. All right. So we got all that stuff out of the way. I think it was pretty fun. So let's go ahead and jump into our corrections, of which there are many corrections. For the first time in the show's history, I had to take up 2 pages of notes. So buckle in. So the first thing is
hold on. Do you want to place a bet? How long do you think this is going to take?
No, I'm not going to bet on that. Okay, so the first thing I have is actually not a correction. So as you guys know, I like to ask for your feedback. So like I've been asking you about the music, and actually that's mostly it. Well, asking for, iTunes reviews and emails and stuff like that. So this week I wanted to ask you guys about the video description, video and podcast description that I put on the YouTube and iTunes versions. I don't know if anybody ever reads them. Do you ever read them?
I skim them.
Do you read them?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like I have a choice.
Why?
Because you're the one that writes it, so I'm like...
Well,
I'm kidding.
Anyway.
I like what you write. I think it's funny.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering if I'm putting too much stuff in the description, because I'll list everything we talk about for the corrections and all of the news and stuff, and I just want to know if you guys even pay attention and whether it's worth it for me to put all of that into writing, because I feel like it's a little clunky with all of that information.
I like it because it shows which part of the segment they want to listen to.
That's a good point. Okay, well anyway, just let us know. You can tweet me at AtariAlex, or you can email us abcpodcast92@gmail.com. So yeah, let me know. Anyway, on to corrections. So first thing, last week we were talking about Spider-Gwen because she was very prominently displayed in the Marvel Collector's Core Women of Power box. And Brandon said that in the Spider-Gwen comics that Peter Parker dies and then Gwen gets her powers, but that is in fact incorrect. in Spider-Gwen comics, Gwen gets her powers and she becomes Spider-Woman. And then Peter Parker idolizes Spider-Woman and he wants to become a superhuman or superhero like her. And so he does some sort of experiment on himself that goes wrong and he becomes the Lizard. And then Spider-Woman has to fight him. And in the battle, Peter Parker transforms, he transforms from the Lizard back into Peter Parker, and then he dies from his injuries, and Spider-Gwen is blamed for his death. So, I thought that was pretty interesting, pretty dark. And then also in the Women of Power box, we were talking about the variant comic, the cover, and how there were a bunch of different characters on there, and there was one that we didn't know. And Brandon said he thought she looked like a Valkyrie, and that's because the character was Valkyrie.
Okay.
A resident of Asgard, and at least in the cartoon show Superhero Squad, the love interest of Thor.
It's not Jane Foster?
No, it's not Jane Foster, surprisingly.
Sure.
Yep. And then we were talking about Squirrel Girl because she was the pop vinyl in the box, and we were talking about how we weren't sure how her creation came about, and basically the writers were just kind of coming up with funny ideas, and Squirrel Girl just kind of stuck, and they decided to keep using her because they wanted to have a more lighthearted character than darker, aggressive, masculine superheroes. So okay, so next thing last week. This totally reminds me. We're taking a break from the corrections because we have to do our ABCs of Geekdom segment.
You want to do it now?
Yeah, we're going to do it now.
Okay.
And so I decided that we're going to have our guests pick what we're going to talk about this week. So it's the letter E. So Robyn, go ahead.
I picked Edward Meacham from House of Cards. He's...
Do I know this character?
Yeah, you do. You should. Did you ever get past episode 1?
I'm on episode 3.
Okay, yeah, he should be in there then.
Okay.
He's Frank's loyal bodyguard.
Yeah, I know him. Anything else?
Well, I think he's very important.
Don't spoil anything.
Okay. Well, he's very important because he shows different sides of Frank when it comes to his loyalty to him. He sees the
softer side.
The softer side of Frank compared to the scary side that's typically shown.
Not that he doesn't see the scary side as well.
But he sees him more all around than most people do. So I think that adds to the storyline when it comes to just their two interactions together, because you see different sides of Frank when it comes to his interaction with Meacham. So I feel like it's pretty important to that show.
Yeah, so Meacham is a really interesting character. He's one of my favorites because his blind loyalty to Frank, no matter all of the evil things he sees Frank do, nothing can make him change his mind about the way he feels about Frank. And that's kind of how I feel about Frank. So Meacham and I we're bros.
I'm more on the Claire side. I'm wearing a 2016 Underwood shirt. And this
I heard underwear when you said that.
Underwood. And that refers to Claire, not Frank, because Claire would be a better president, obviously, than Frank.
That's so not true.
Well, agree to disagree then.
Anyway, so that's Edward Meacham. Okay, moving on, back to corrections. So, last week we were talking... so Brandon's letter was D last week, and he chose Drogon. And so, naturally, we had to...
You know how much a Drogon Funko Pop costs? I was looking it up. $44.
Yeah, because it's not just... Well, wait, which one were you looking at? Were you looking at the Pop Ride or the Pop of Drogon?
The Pop of Drogon.
Really?
Yeah.
From where? From Amazon?
Yeah. But to be fair, it had red eyes. So
right.
I guess...
Well, no. Okay, so Pop vinyls are... For the most part, you can buy most of them anywhere, but some of them are store exclusives. And Drogon just so happens to be a store exclusive.
Yeah, I noticed.
So it's exclusive to Hot Topic, and they all come with the glowing red eyes. It's not like there's a variant. That's a variant. It's exclusive to Hot Topic. So that's the reason why it's so expensive. If you go to Hot Topic, you should be able to find them there. The last time I went to Hot Topic, which was a while ago, there were a bunch there. So
did this all cost $44?
No, so it's a 6-inch pop, and So I would guess probably like in about $20, but yeah, I wouldn't pay $44 for one.
Because I get the one with him and Daenerys, right? That one costs like a little bit more. It's like 30 something.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not paying $44 for a Funko.
Yeah, that's definitely overpriced. Just go on Hot Topic's website. Or don't.
I could. Just gotta go back to my middle school days of going back to Hot Topic. I never went there.
I had never been in a Hot Topic until I started collecting Pops, and they had this giant wall of Pops, and I was like, I'm home.
I actually really like Hot Topic. I know people always like make fun of it because it's where, angsty middle schoolers or high schoolers go to. But it's got some really cool stuff. They have awesome shirts and accessories and a bunch of other Funkos and little nerd things.
Robyn
I
loves
just go for
Hot
the cat
Topic.
shirts. Yeah,
of course you do.
I go there for the cat shirts. There's so many.
Anyways, back to Drogon.
Yeah, okay, so we're talking about Drogon, so naturally we have to talk about Drogon's quote-unquote mother, Daenerys. And so, just so we can be clear, Daenerys's her titles are Daenerys Stormborn Targaryen, the Unburnt, the Queen of the Andals, the Ronar and the First Men, Queen of Meereen, Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, Breaker of Chains, and Mother of Dragons.
Glad we could clear that up.
Yep.
Until like season 7, she'll get like another title.
Oh, let's see. She's on a bunch of ships, so she could be Admiral of the Narrow Sea.
Admiral, or Crosser of the Narrow Sea.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. I was gonna think of a really silly name for a fish, but I don't know. I couldn't think of anything.
All right, moving on. So speaking of Game of Thrones, so last week we were talking about Ned Stark. Mm-hmm. And so Brandon was talking about how whenever he hears the name Fled, he thinks... whenever he hears the name Ned, he thinks of Ned Flanders. And how much of a different show it would be if Ned Flanders was in Game of Thrones. And I said that if that were the case, that there would be no Jon Snow. Now, to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, and it's still going to be a little bit of a spoiler, but I apologize, but I have to correct this. So if you're into Game of Thrones and you're not caught up, just skip ahead 10 seconds. If Ned Flanders were Ned Stark, there would in fact still be a Jon Snow. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on.
Heredia, Neighborino.
Okay, so we have to talk about Bulbasaur again.
We do?
Yes, I know. I promise this is the last time I'm going to talk about it. I looked everything up once and for all. This is it. So Bulbasaur, the first episode of Bulbasaur premiered, Ash obviously didn't own Bulbasaur, so he couldn't tell him what moves to use in battle. But Ash tried to catch Bulbasaur with his Butterfree, and he told Butterfree to use Sleep Powder on Bulbasaur. And Bulbasaur then, of his own volition, used the move Whirlwind, or so it was dubbed in the anime, to blow the Sleep Powder away. And actually reflected it back on Butterfree, and Butterfree fell asleep. Then, later on in the show, in an episode called The Ninja Poke Showdown, Ash used Bulbasaur to fight against Venonat that was owned by a ninja girl named Aya, who is in fact Koga's younger sister, Koga, of course, being the 5th gym leader in the Kanto region, a poisons-type ninja specialist who resides in Fuchsia City and gives you the the Soul Badge. So Bulbasaur fought the Venonat, and then Venonat tried to use Stun Spore on Bulbasaur, and Ash told Bulbasaur in the dub to use Whirlwind to blow away the Stun Spore. Now, funnily enough, in the 6th generation of Pokemon, the mechanics of the powder moves, such as Sleep Powder and Stun Spore, were changed so that they would not affect grass-type Pokemon such as Bulbasaur. So, if that mechanic had been around since the 1st generation, none of that would have even mattered because it wouldn't have affected Bulbasaur. So, there's your fun fact for the day. Also, so ever since that dubbing error in the Ninja Poke Showdown, Ash has not commanded Bulbasaur to use Whirlwind because, of course, Bulbasaur can't actually learn Whirlwind. Also, there's an episode we were talking about where Ash told Bulbasaur to use Lick and Tickle on a Psyduck, and that was in fact Misty's Psyduck. And the reason they were fighting is because Ash had an egg that turned out to be Togepi, and they were deciding who should get to keep it. And even though Ash won the battle, Togepi hatched afterwards and bonded with Misty. And so Misty kept Togepi anyway.
So it was basically like Game of Thrones with Daenerys and the dragons.
No, not at all.
Because they hatched and they bonded with her.
Yeah, but there was no struggle for who should get to keep them.
Kind of.
No,
I mean, Viserys wanted the dragons.
But they weren't his, and
he tried to take them.
But then he was killed.
In the most badass way possible.
Pretty much. Okay, so we're done with Bulbasaur once and for all.
For now, anyways.
No, once and for all. Moving on. So we were talking about Richie from the anime, Pokemon anime. And his last appearance in the anime was in the Gen 3 series, but it wasn't in the main show. It was in a side series called Pokemon Chronicles, which focused on characters besides Ash. So his last appearance with Ash was in Generation 2, the anime. Yep. Okay, so next, for some reason, we were talking about Chipotle and guacamole. And so I'm so dedicated to this show that I went to Chipotle for lunch in order to do research. And I found out that guacamole at Chipotle costs $1.95. And it's the same if you get a little cup of guacamole or if they just put a little dab of guacamole in your burrito, which is ridiculous. It should not cost $2 for a little squelch of guacamole in your food. I don't care how good it tastes.
Or you could have just not gone and
no, I had to know.
Bygones be bygones.
Never.
Did you buy the guacamole though?
No, of course not.
Oh, okay.
Do I look like Scrooge McDuck to you? I don't have money to go throwing around.
But you have money to buy all this stuff off of Amazon and collect this box and everything.
Okay, you got me there. Okay, moving on. So, Pokemon Platinum version. So last week I said that it released in 2009, which is true. But I said that they usually release in the fall. So I incorrectly assumed that I would have been a junior in high school. In fact, Pokemon Platinum version released on May 14th of 2009, which means I would have still been a sophomore in high school. So, there you have it. Oh, by the way, that's the North American release date. It released even earlier in Japan. So, all of the Rotom forms, which is why we were talking about Platinum in the first place, those would have been known for us long ahead of time. So, next. So, the Jedi Purge, you remember we were talking about that. And I was talking about how the Jedi Purge and Order 66 were two different things, but they seemed like they were the same. That's because they kind of are. Basically, the Jedi Purge was initiated with Order 66, which is, of course, when Emperor Palpatine told the clone troopers to kill all of the Jedi. But they didn't kill all of the Jedi with Order 66. A large number of Jedi were exterminated with Order 66, but not all of them. So the Jedi Purge is hunting down the surviving Jedi. And then even then, they still didn't get all of them because there were, what did I say last week? Like 92 Jedi survived both Order 66 and the Jedi Purge. So the clone troopers suck at killing Jedi, apparently.
Okay, fine. You try and kill a Jedi.
Well, bring me one and I'll do it.
Challenge accepted.
So, Mortal Kombat, the original Mortal Kombat game, released in arcades on October 8th of 1992. So that's like 2 months after I was born. And then Mortal Kombat X, the newest game in the Mortal Kombat... Well, technically Mortal Kombat XL is the newest game, if you want to call that a new game. That's besides the point. Mortal Kombat X... The story for the game takes place 25 years later, not 20 years, like I said last week. And also, I don't remember why I felt this was necessary to write down. Oh, because we were talking about Sub-Zero, and he is the leader of the Lin Kuei clan, but his official title is Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei. Okay, next. So we were talking about Injustice, and we were talking about Ares in Injustice. Ares!
Never gets old.
And so I was talking about how one of his quotes was my favorite, but it's not his entrance quote. It's actually his win quote.
Oh, okay.
His entrance quote is, he says, "Behold the god of war." And then when he wins, he says, "Only a fool would challenge me at my own game."
Good old Ares.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite entrance or win quote from Injustice?
It's on to me or Robyn.
To you.
Okay.
She doesn't know anything.
That's just like in my direction, my bad. Do I have a favorite entrance quote? I do like Green Lanterns. It's really simple, but it's when he has the lantern, he punches it to charge his ring, he just goes like fully charged.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I really like it. It's very simple, but I really like it.
His ending quote is pretty good too, because he flies up into space and he's joined by a bunch of other Green Lanterns, and he says, "Once a Green Lantern, always a Green Lantern," which is so not true, but whatever.
But my favorite entrance, like just any of the entrances, I think it might have to be probably Deathstroke. I just like the way he just gets ready for battle.
Yeah. I don't know. His is a little boring to me.
It does get a little long whenever you're trying to get ready for battle and you just have to watch him get ready. It's like basically like watching somebody, putting their clothes on.
Now, my favorite entrance though, hands down, is Scorpion.
Oh. Yeah.
Because so he's in battle, he's in Shao Kahn's battle arena.
Yeah.
He's about to do a fatality on Sub-Zero, who's down on his knees, and he winds up for a punch, and then he's just teleported into the Injustice universe, and he like looks around, he's like, what the hell is going on? He doesn't say it, but he gives this look like, what the hell is going on? And then he just gets ready to fight again, because that's what he does. It's so cool. Moving on. So we were talking about Pokemon, and we were talking about the ability Flame Body, which, if you don't remember, has a 30% chance to burn the opposing Pokemon when a contact move is used on the Pokemon with the ability Flame Body. And I mentioned Static and Poison Point, which have similar effects for the paralysis and poison status conditions. I forgot another ability that has a similar effect, which is the ability Cute Charm, which has a 30% chance to cause the infatuation condition when a contact move is used on a Pokemon with the ability Cute Charm. The reason I forgot to mention it is because infatuation is what is called a volatile status condition, whereas burn, paralysis, and poison, as well as sleep and... No, just sleep. No. Yeah, just sleep. So sleep, burn, poison, and paralysis are all non-volatile status conditions, which means that if you switch the Pokemon out of battle or the battle ends, the status condition will stay on the Pokemon, whereas volatile status conditions, such as infatuation, confusion, leech seed, trapping moves, stuff like that, you can switch them out of battle, except for trapping moves, because those don't allow you to switch out. If the battle ends or if they get switched out of battle, the condition is over. Now, why they are called volatile versus non-volatile, because burn and poison damage you, but they're called non-volatile, I don't know. Those are not official in-game Pokemon terms. Those are terms used by the competitive Pokemon fighting community. Why they call them those and not the other way around, which I think makes more sense, I don't know, but that's neither here nor there.
So the infatuation one, does that make the Pokemon in love with the other one?
Yeah, so I should probably explain what that is.
Interesting.
Yeah, so...
You would notice that one.
Well, I mean, it is a charm that I tend to have anyway.
So infatuation can only affect Pokemon of the opposing gender, so most Pokemon, not all, but most Pokemon are either male or female. And infatuation can be caused either by Cute Charm or by a move called Attract. And when under the infatuation condition, you have a 50% chance for your move to fail due to infatuation of the other Pokemon. Moving on. So last week I was talking about the monkey Pokemon, the elemental monkeys, as the fans call them. And I called one of them, so they are called Simisage, Simisear, and Simipour. Their pre-evolved forms are Pansage, Pansear, and Panpour. Last week I said Simisage, Simisear, and Panpour, so I got them a little mixed up. Also last week I said that those three Pokemon have the abilities Overgrow, Blaze, and Torrent. And the way I worded it made it sound like all three Pokemon have all three abilities, which is not true. They have the corresponding ability to the corresponding element. So Simisage, which is a grass-type Pokemon, has the Overgrow ability. Simisear, which is a fire-type, has the Blaze ability. And Simipour, Pour, which is a water type Pokemon, has the Torrent ability similar to the grass, fire, and water type starter Pokemon. So last week we were talking about The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Brandon asked me what my favorite Zelda game was, and I jokingly answered, honestly I don't remember what I answered, it had something to do with Tingle and Rupees, but I totally butchered the name. The correct name of the game, which is not my favorite Zelda game, just want to make that very clear, the correct name of the game is Freshly Picked Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land for the Nintendo DS.
That matches your personality perfectly.
Totes. Okay, moving on. So last week we were talking about similarities between Breath of the Wild and Skyrim. And I was talking about how the voice acting and everything, but I said that Nintendo and Bethesda are different studios. Now, Nintendo is not a studio. It owns several development studios that make video games, but Nintendo itself is a publisher of video games, not a video game studio. Breath of the Wild is being developed by Nintendo Entertainment Planning and Development, also called Nintendo EPD, but not Nintendo as a whole. You're giving me this look like, why am I saying this? And I really debated whether or not to say it, but I figured after I'd already done the research that I might as well include it.
Hey, you do the research, so, I mean, you can say whatever you want on this podcast.
Exactly.
Start a revolution for all I care.
You know what my favorite scene in Avatar: The Last Airbender is? So
Is this going to spoil it for me? Because you know I haven't seen it.
No.
Okay.
So there's an episode where Sokka and Zuko break into a Fire Nation held prison where they keep their like political dissenters. And so they need to cause a distraction in the prison yard. And so either Sokka or Zuko, I don't remember which one, they walk up to the biggest guy in the prison and he goes up to him and he just punches him in the face. And the guy just stands there and gets super angry and he's like, I forgive you. And he goes, what? And he's like, I've been working on my anger management, and so I'm thankful for you giving me this opportunity to practice my patience with other people. And he's like, oh man, I was trying to start a fight because I need to start a prison riot in order to distract the guards. And the big guy goes, oh, why didn't you just say so? He turns, that's not the best part. He turns around, he grabs this little short dude behind him, he picks him up and lifts him over his head and he says, riot! And everyone in the prison yard just starts rioting. It is the best thing ever.
Oh, man. That really was one of the best things I've heard. I have to see that scene.
Yeah, you do.
I really do. Don't worry. After I finish Futurama, I'm gonna start Avatar.
Good idea.
Or maybe Walking Dead, I don't know.
No, definitely Avatar.
Although I do want to just reiterate on Game of Thrones, though. We'll see. First world problems.
What about House of Cards?
Oh, damn it! That too.
Okay, moving on. So, Detroit Become Human, we talked about last week. It was announced at Paris Games Week on October 27th of 2015. So not at E3. I don't know why I thought that.
Maybe because everything's E3.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Also, when I was doing my research, I found out that... So we were talking about the whole detective thing, trying to talk the android down off the ledge. And it turns out that's only one part of the game. You're actually, throughout the game, you're going to control several androids in different situations. I'm not sure if the story ties together. I'm sure it will, but I'm not sure how the different androids are related to each other. But yeah, I mean, based off of that one scene that they showed, I think that has a lot of promise for how the rest of the game is going to be. So I'm really looking forward to that game. I think it's going to be really interesting. Just have to get a PS4 first.
I mean, someday. You never know.
Okay, moving on. So last week we were talking about Dwayne Johnson being in a new Wolfman movie. And so we were talking about the original Wolfman, which came out in 1941. Also, I found this interesting that in the original, they have Wolfman, two separate words. But in the remake with Benicio del Toro, it's one word, Wolfman. So, interesting.
No hyphen? Just Wolfman?
One word. So, in the 2015, well, yeah, I guess. In the current Flash television show, Henry Allen, father of Barry Allen, is played by the actor John Wesley Shipp, who, as we talked about last week, was Barry Allen on the 90s Flash television show.
Did you ever watch it?
Nope.
Do you think you will watch it?
Probably. I think it's only one season, and it's like a handful of episodes,
I
so
believe that.
yeah, it should be pretty easy to get through. I don't know if I could find it, but if I could, I would be down to watch it.
No matter how bad it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that it's only one season long kind of tells you what it's going to be like, but it's all good. It's got Mark Hamill in it, so it can't be that bad.
And he did come back on The Flash.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
So, last week I was talking about a character that Wayne Knight, a.k.a. Newman, voiced on the Superhero Squad show. Second time we're bringing that up in this episode.
Who, Newman or Superhero Squad?
Superhero Squad show. Anyway, so he voiced the character. His real name is Elias Starr with 2 R's, but his super villain name is Egghead. And because his head looks like an egg.
Okay.
So we were talking about the San Diego Comic-Con Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. trolley leak advertisement thing. And so I was talking about how the flaming chain could be the use of that one Inhuman bad guy who appeared in season 3. His name is James. No last name given. And so he gets his powers like towards the later end of the season. And so kind of a running joke, I guess, is he's trying to come up with a cool like code name. And so some code names that he throws out are Hellfire, Inferno, Firestarter, Scorch, and Mr. Personality.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where that one came from. I don't remember the context, but yeah.
What else could it be named?
420.
420? Blaze it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Or just like Blaze it. It's like Agent Blaze it on the way.
And he shows up, he's like, what am I supposed to do?
They might as well get Snoop Dogg to play the character.
Go shizzle my nizzle.
Nice.
Okay, so Injustice 2. So one thing that I forgot to talk about last week is the possible inclusion of character variations. So NetherRealm Studios developed the 2011 game Mortal Kombat, also called Mortal Kombat 9. And after that, their next game they worked on was Injustice. And after Injustice, they worked on Mortal Kombat X. And Mortal Kombat X took a design element or gameplay mechanic, I guess, from Injustice, which is the use of interactable objects. So throughout and all of the Injustice levels, there are objects that you can interact with throughout the level. And these interactable objects are really varied depending on the level. So some of them can be thrown at the opponent to do damage. Some of them, usually in the corners, but not always. Some interactables can be used to escape, to move to a different part of the screen to get away from your opponent, and just kind of things like that. And Mortal Kombat X took that mechanic and brought it into their game, granted to a significantly less degree. In Injustice, there were a bunch of different interactables in every level. In Mortal Kombat X, there's maybe like 3 or 4 interactables per level. But anyway, another new mechanic that Mortal Kombat X introduced to the game was what's called character variations, which are really interesting. So every character has 3 different variations, and each variation gives the character unique either attacks, either normal attacks or special attacks. So, for example, Sub-Zero, his 3 variations are called Grandmaster, which allows him to make an ice clone, which you can either pick up and throw at your opponent to do damage, or you can use it as a shield, and if they touch it, they'll get frozen in place. You can do big combos on them. And then his second one is called Cryomancer, which allows you to create ice weaponry, like a sword and a hammer, to do extra damage to mix up your combos. And then his third variation is called Unbreakable. They alive, damn it. And that allows him to create an ice armor so that he can reduce the damage done to him throughout the battle or the fight. So, so it does things like that. So you have different special attacks for each character. And then other characters, they use like completely different weapons for each variation. So there's a character named Tanya, and her first variation is called Kobujitsu, which she has these daggers which she uses to do different attacks. Her second one is called Pyromancer, and she can like throw fireballs at her opponents. And her third one is called the Dragon Naginata. A Naginata is this kind of spear, I guess, and it's can like extend and stuff, and she can use it for different attacks. So not only does she have different special attacks, but because they're completely different weapons, all of her normal attacks are changed too. So basically the three different variations all do different things for each character to make them basically three completely different characters that fight in completely different ways. They also all have slightly different aesthetic changes between variations, so that just for fun and to help you tell which variation your opponent is using, I guess. So I am interested to see if they include variations in Injustice 2. Now, personally, I don't think they will. I feel like if they were going to, in that extended gameplay trailer that we saw, we would have seen that shown off. But maybe they're not ready to show it yet. Maybe they're keeping that as a surprise. Maybe they don't have all of the moves for the different variations nailed down yet. Who really knows? I would really love to see variations come back because I think it's a really cool mechanic, and I think it makes the characters really varied. Now, granted, I feel like they put a lot more work into each individual character, and so the roster has fewer characters overall, but I think that's okay because essentially all three characters are different characters. Even though they look the same and the majority of them are the same, they're different enough where I feel comfortable in saying that they play super differently, and so you can consider them three unique characters. What do you think about variations for Injustice 2?
I would like to see it. Like you said, I don't know if they're going to, but maybe they are. I could definitely see, because I don't say a lot of them have the same powers, but you can see how some of them have similar ways of using their powers or fighting styles or whatnot, what have you.
Yeah.
And I just think it would be a nice mechanic to have into the game to just create more diversity
yeah.
player. Because everybody plays things differently.
Yeah.
The way you play with Green Lantern isn't the same way I play with him, so just depends on how you do it.
Yeah, yeah. Another reason I don't think it'll probably be in the game is because with the armor and weapon drops, the whole every battle defines you thing that they're really putting a lot of emphasis on, there's going to be so much aesthetic differences between all characters. Even if two people are playing the same character, you know, if they're using the armor and stuff, they're not going to look the same. So I feel like that's probably not going to happen, but we can hope. I think it would be really cool.
Fingers crossed.
So, speaking of Injustice, we're talking about Dex-Starr because he is Atrocitus's ability, or his character trait in the game. So, Dex-Starr's backstory: he was born into a litter of 5 kittens, and he was put into an animal shelter, and then he was adopted by a woman. And after he had been adopted and he grew to love her, one night a burglar broke into her apartment, and Dexter, his real name was Dexter, or he was named Dexter by this woman. Dexter went to go and he scratched the burglar. The burglar screamed in pain and woke the woman up, and then she cried out for help, and the burglar killed her as a result. So the police came the next day. They were investigating the crime scene, and one of the cops who was investigating, he kicked Dex-Starr, and he's like, "Get out of here, you're going to contaminate the crime scene." So he kicked him out of the house, and so Dexter became homeless, and he was homeless for a while, and then one day he was out on the street, and 2 thugs grabbed him and put him in a bag, and then for fun, they decided to drop him off the Brooklyn Bridge so they could watch him drown. And while he was falling, a red lantern ring sensed the rage in his heart and came, and he became a Red Lantern, and then he killed the 2 thugs and then went to go find his owner's murderer. And then after that he met up with Atrocitus, and now he's Atrocitus's main cat friend.
When he started with the thug thing, I thought it was going to be like the movie Keanu. When they stole the cat.
Oh wait, did you see that movie?
Yeah, we did.
Oh yeah, how was it?
Not as funny as I was expecting.
All I just kept looking was at the cute cat because he was adorable. So I thought that's where that was going, and then it went very different than that.
Yep.
Does Dex-Starr come in the animated series?
I don't remember, but I don't remember seeing
I feel like he doesn't.
Yeah.
Do you know the Red Lantern oath?
I do.
Do you want to say it?
With blood and rage of crimson red, we fill men's souls with darkest dread. To twist your mind with pain and hate, we'll burn you all. That is your fate. Now that is the toned down version from the Green Lantern animated series, because I think the original one says hellish hate, and so they didn't want to put that in a cartoon. But I like the cartoon version better, honestly.
Didn't you say that when you got your lantern?
I did.
He had his ring on and he was ready.
I wanted you to scream it from the rooftops, though.
It's not too late.
Oh, that's true. You could bring it to your wedding. Just carry it down the aisle.
No, not happening.
And when like you two get the rings, you just like slam it into the lantern.
I don't think so.
You know what was funny that I found out about Atrocitus? He used to be a psychologist.
Interesting.
On his homeworld, he was a psychologist.
So he was doing therapy with someone, and he was like, "How does that make you feel?" And they were like, "Angry." And he was like, "I can get down with that."
Yeah. He was a psychologist from the Animaniacs, Dr. Scratch and Sniff. Ooh, maybe that's the next role for Dr. Scratch and Sniff. He becomes a Red Lantern.
Why not?
He tries to fight the Animaniacs.
When I was watching the Green Lantern animated series, that was when I really like fell in love with the Red Lantern Corps. Yeah. And so I was at work, and like for the rest of the day, I was Googling characters drawn as Red Lanterns, and I sent them all to Brandon.
Yeah.
I probably sent you like a dozen characters.
You did, yeah.
There were some
pretty cool ones.
Yeah. Who's your favorite?
Who's my favorite of them all?
Yeah.
That's a hard one, man. Because you sent me Hulk.
Yeah.
Who else did you send me?
I know Raphael.
You sent me Raphael.
Donald Duck.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
The old guy from the Boondocks.
The granddad or Stink Meter?
I don't remember.
Did he have sunglasses on?
I think so.
Yeah, Stink Meter. I think after the Green Lanterns, they're my favorite core. Because I like how they're usually... Not so much in the anime series, but in the comics, they're portrayed as anti-heroes. Well, I guess a little bit in the anime series they are. So they're not full-on villains, they're more anti-heroes, but... They do some pretty bad stuff to achieve their ends.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, I just think it's really
cool. But the Green Lanterns still have Mogo, so...
That's true. I love Mogo, though.
Who doesn't love Mogo?
Whenever they really... You know when Mogo is called in, they really need the help.
Yeah, basically.
Like at the end of Emerald Knights.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite scenes.
Pretty good.
Does this mean anything to you, Robyn? Never mind.
I just don't understand how this all fits in your brain so much.
We compartmentalize what's important to us.
I'm a woman. I have a spaghetti brain.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. So we're talking about Bionicle, and I was talking about my brown and blue guy. Anyway, so his name is... So this species, I guess, is the Vaki, and then specifically...
you didn't tell me that.
The brown... Well, I didn't remember until I looked it up. So the one that I had, his name was Zadok. It's spelled Zadakh.
Sorry, I'm looking it up. That's right. I know which one you're talking about now.
Yeah, so anyway, so he had these giant scythes for arms and pincers, and I think you put a little disc in there, which you could fire out to, shoot a little projectile. Good times.
Good old times.
Do you want to tell anyone about Bionicle lore of the Vaki? Do you know anything?
I do know. I am ashamed that I know so much about it, and we're like an hour in, but why not? So the Vaki were the robotic enforcers of Metro Nui during the time before the original, not the original ones, the first generation that we knew as Bionicles. So they were essentially the police military force on Metro Nui. And as you can, probably guess, there were 6 versions of them, each one.
What a shocker.
Yeah, I know, right? Each one dedicated to a separate part of the city. And they followed the control of the leader of the city. So each one had a different power, and each one was specialized in a different force and whatnot. And they became shut down after the Toa left Metro Nui because of this cataclysmic event that happened. So that's why when they come back to Metro Nui, they didn't find any more Vaki. They found Vaki parts, but they couldn't really make any more Vaki. Yeah, that's the story of the Vaki without confusing you guys.
Right on.
Thank you.
So they're kind of like the Manhunters, I guess.
You could say that, a little bit like the Manhunters. Because there was a slogan that the Matoran associated with the Vaki. It was surrender or run.
Live free or die hard.
50 Cent. I know, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
All right, so... Oh, and then I was talking about Duplo and how I made my little brick plane fighter things. Anyway, Duplo are, in fact, owned by Lego Corporation. So Bugdom, computer game that I was talking about last week. In Bugdom, you do not have to save your girlfriend, like I said last week. You're rescuing ladybugs from the clutches of the evil fire ants. And
Those damn fire ants. Everything changed when they attacked.
Oh, it's funny because it's true. Anyway, so the leader of the fire ants is a king, not a queen ant, but a king ant, which I found really weird. But his name is King Thorax, and your character, his name is Rolly McFly.
He had a name? Wow.
Apparently.
Rolly
There's
McFly.
also a Bugdom 2 for.
I heard about that actually.
I think it's for iOS.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't look at it or anything. I saw a few screenshots, and it didn't look like it would live up to my nostalgic childhood. But yeah. Bugdom 2.
Yeah.
Go check it out if you feel like it. Anyway, and the Nanosaur, the other game actually there were two other games I was talking about. Nanosaur was one of the other games I was talking about. I said last week that you'd have a 5-minute time limit to find all the eggs. That's not true. It's actually a 20-minute time limit. So still pretty good time pressure, but definitely not as bad as 5 minutes. And I said last week that your jetpack fuel recharges over time, but that's not true. They look like jets of steam coming out of the ground, but it's actually jet fuel. You stand over it and your jet fuel refills. So it's good. That's really important information for you to know. You're welcome.
If you ever have a jetpack and you need fuel.
Yeah, transport to 65 million BC and go find a little jet steam stream. Okay, and then the other game that I was talking about was Mario's Fundamentals. And so there were 5 games. So there was chess, checkers, Go Fish, backgammon, and the 5th game that I couldn't remember, they called Yacht, which is basically their knockoff version of Yatzee. Which I remembered, I played it when I played Mario Fundamentals, but I could not tell you how to play Yatzee now.
That was my childhood game. We played it like every week at our house.
TFTI.
About how many years ago?
Oh, by the way, Mario's Fundamentals, the fun in Fundamentals are capitalized. So last week I was talking about reading the Harry Potter books and how I needed AR points. I called it Accelerated Reader, but it's actually Accelerated Reading. So,
oh my god, I needed to know that. Thank you, Alex.
You were very welcome. Did you do AR?
Yes, it was terrible.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it really wasn't.
I didn't like reading until I went to college. And so...
So you're the
when I
opposite of us.
Yeah.
I like reading now, but when I was younger, I hated reading. There was so much pressure.
Actually, no, go ahead.
No, I was just talking to myself.
Oh,
What
okay.
were you saying?
So this is a funny story. So we went to an elementary school called Askew Elementary, and so back then they only had kindergarten through 4th grade. Well, I guess technically pre-K through 4th grade, but I didn't go there for pre-K. So
I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So anyway, so kindergarten through 4th grade, and now they have a 5th grade. But back in my day, for 5th grade, you had to go to this other school called Shadowbriar, which was the worst, but I won't talk about
It
that.
wasn't that bad.
It was the worst.
It was not that bad.
Anyway, so yeah, so
It was right next to a Whataburger.
oh yeah, well it's like across the street.
Oh yeah.
my parents would not be okay with me crossing Westheimer to go to Whataburger when I was a 10-year-old. Anyway, so because of the transition from like moving to a new school, your AR points got reset. So all of the books that I had read, like all of the Harry Potter books, all of the Redwall books, I could take the quizzes again and get points. So I had the most points out of anyone in my grade that year because of that trick. I want to say I had like 600 something AR points.
I probably had the minimum.
I
I just did what I had to.
I believe that.
Me too.
I like reading now.
Congratulations. Anyway, speaking of reading, Magic Treehouse books, they are in fact still being made. The 56th book in the Magic Treehouse series is coming out later this month, and there's a movie. They announced that they are planning to make a Magic Treehouse movie. So,
like cartoon?
It didn't say. Well, I didn't look into it. I don't know. I would imagine live action.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it would work better as live action than cartoon, honestly.
It just needs to be done right.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
You know how it is nowadays. Every book needs to be a movie.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so we were talking about I don't remember why we were talking about this, but we were talking about how Saiyans have the ability to become more powerful anytime they are mortally wounded or are killed. Of course, in the Dragon Ball Z universe, being killed is never the end of your life because Dragon Ball Ex Machina, but whatever.
And also, the Kais, Heaven, all the nice stuff.
Little Green.
My name is Dende.
Anyway, so that ability of the Saiyans is called Zenkai. Oh wait, did I say it? So anytime they are almost to the point of death or are killed, they become more powerful. Their power level increases dramatically. If you care about power levels, which nobody does.
Because they mean crap.
Exactly. So Zenkai. It's good to know. So that's all of the corrections from episode 15.
Oh, thank God.
Episode 16.
I knew it.
I only have a few corrections for episode 16. So the Green Lantern Corps movie, there's no director yet, which means that Kenneth Branagh is eligible for the job.
That is true.
So I really think he would be a good choice.
I think so too.
Both as a Green Lantern, if they wanted to go that route, or just as the director. I think he'd be a good fit.
They might talk Shakespearean though.
Nah, I could live with that.
Yeah, imagine the oath said in Shakespeare.
And then also the movie is going to be released in 2020, not 2018.
Oh,
like
great!
I said last week.
So how many years is that? 4.
Well, 3.5.
Yeah. I just make sure I'm alive by that point.
Anyway, then Michael Cera, who we talked about potentially being cast as Alan Scott.
You suggested it and talked about it.
Yeah, but
keep going.
Anyway. The last movie that he was in was A Very Murray Christmas, a Netflix original Christmas movie starring Bill Murray. And then he's also a voice in the upcoming movie Sausage Party.
The one with Seth Rogen?
I thought it was Jonah Hill. I thought he was the main character. Is Seth Rogen in it? I honestly don't know.
Maybe. I think it's Seth Rogen.
You should look it up so I don't have to talk about it next week.
They look quite similar.
Who? Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill?
Yeah.
Not really.
But I love Jonah Hill.
I like Seth Rogen.
21 Jump Street. That's my stuff.
But then he got fat again.
Okay, so they're both in it, actually. Seth Rogen is the main character, but Jonah Hill is in it.
Well, there you go.
Wow, they got a lot of voices. They have James Franco, Kristen Wiig, Salma Hayek, Michael Cera, Edward Norton, Paul Rudd.
What is it?
You don't want to know.
Yeah, you don't want to know.
You honestly don't want to know.
Okay.
Okay, and then the last thing, we were talking about Danny Bonaduce, because reasons. And Michael was talking about how he's the generally not very liked guy. And on his Wikipedia page, at least, I didn't find anything to corroborate that claim. And I didn't feel like doing any more research than that. However, I did discover that he was going to speak at a DARE rally. DARE, of course, standing for... What did it stand for?
I had the shirt.
With the lion on it?
No, it
Or
was
just
just
a-
black with the red
yeah.
letters.
I know there was a lion that was associated
Yeah, the
with it.
lion was like the mascot,
Yeah.
but Dare stood for...
Don't worry, I'm coming to your rescue. Crap! Hold up. Drug Abuse Resistance Education.
There you go. Anyway, so he was going to speak at either elementary or middle school for a Dare presentation. But before he got there, he was arrested for buying cocaine.
Nice.
That's like the third time drugs have come up on this show. Just
What was the
putting that
second
out there.
time?
No, it's the third. At the start, you're
No,
talking
no.
about.
I was like, what was the second time?
420 Blaze It.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The Inhuman. Okay, so couple of things from childhood that I forgot to mention last week.
Oh, God. Okay. Go for it.
Okay, so first was my Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Those were a huge influence on me. I actually mentioned my Game Boy, but then I didn't talk about any of the games that I played, which was weird. So when I was a little kid, my dad worked at a school for S.H.I.E.L.D, and they confiscated or somebody lost a Game Boy, the original gray Game Boy, and I guess nobody ever claimed it or whatever, so he gave it to me. I don't know if that's legal or not, but whatever.
Probably not, but...
So anyway, so he gave me the Game Boy, and so I'm pretty sure the only game I had originally was Super Mario Land, which I never beat back then. I'm pretty sure I only ever got to like World 2 or maybe 3. But this is, later in the future, but I bought it on 3DS for the Virtual Console, and I have beaten it since then, so you couldn't hear that probably, but I just patted myself on the back.
I actually thought you were going for an itch or something.
Anyway, but then for the Game Boy Color,
Why'd you ask me to pat you on the back? Just be like,
that's weird, man. Anyway, for Game Boy Color, so I got my Game Boy Color on my 6th Christmas. And with the Game Boy Color, because you can't just get the game, you have to get... You can't just get the system, you have to get a game too. I was gifted Pokemon Blue version.
ah.
And thus began my lifelong love of Pokemon, in case you couldn't tell from the ridiculous amounts of detail I put into my Pokemon talking on this show.
Tell me about it.
Well, you see... No, I'm just kidding. So I played a lot of Pokemon. Honestly, I don't have much to say other than that's where it all started. My real love for Pokemon really started in my high school years, but we weren't talking about that last time. That's going to be 2 childhood segments from now. Anyway, then another game that I played a bunch was The Sims.
Oh, see, I never played Sims.
So, The Sims is an interesting game. So, if you don't know what The Sims are, they are... You know what The Sims are, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I played for a little bit.
Okay, so The Sims, basically, it's a simulation game, funnily enough. And you build houses for your characters, which you create, and you control their lives. You tell them what to do. You tell them when to go to the bathroom and when to eat and when to go to school and stuff like that. So what I did was there was this cheat code so that you could have unlimited money. So basically,
Unlimited.
I made my family. I gave us this giant kick-ass house that had the coolest stuff they had in the game. And yeah, and I remember, so I started over with my family a bunch of times just because I wanted to, design new houses and stuff. So basically I would just kill off my old family and start a new version of my family.
This excites me for the future. Thank you.
And I remember one time I didn't want my kid self to go to school, so I built a moat around the house so that they could never escape and couldn't go to school or go to work or anything. And yeah, so like I would like try to walk out the door to go to the bus, but you would like, you couldn't go anywhere because you couldn't swim. You could swim, but it in the game, you couldn't get to the other side of the lawn. And if you missed school for like a certain number of days in a row, you would have to go to military school. But so the like military jeep would like pull up in front of the house, and then like some like army dude would come and like try to get to your door, but he couldn't like knock on the door because there was a moat. And so he just like, I'm pretty sure he never left, like, because in the programming, like, it wouldn't let him go away, but it wouldn't let him get inside either. So anyway, so that was the base Sims game, and then they had a bunch of expansion packs. So there was one called Sims Vacation, which I had, And so you could either go to like the beach or you could go to like a winter sports resort park.
Winterfell?
No, I would not want some vacation in Winterfell. So that was it. And then there was a bunch of new things that you could buy for your house. There were a few others. There was one like that was like magic themed. And so you could get yourself like a Frankenstein butler and just like different magic themed things. There was one that was about dating, and so you could have your characters like go into the city and like try to pick up women, basically. There were a bunch of different expansions. I never bought them, but thanks to Lariah Pope and Johnny Macaroon, shout outs to them, they had the games, and so because DRM was basically non-existent back then, I could borrow it, install it on my computer, and then give them back the CDs. So yeah, so I played a ton of Sims back in the day. Outside of the Pokemon franchise, I'm pretty confident in saying that I've put the most amount of hours into any video game into The Sims. Okay, a couple more things. So when I was doing my research for Bugdom, I watched a speedrun of the game in order to. Well, I was trying to confirm the number of levels in the game. There are, in fact, 10, so I got that right. But anyway, so I was watching the speedrun, and it gave me these flashbacks. There's this one level where you go inside of a beehive, and there are these huge, masculine bees that try to, like, they're there to beat the crap out of you, and the music is super intense, and everything is, like, really scary. And I just remember that, like, it was really scary. And in Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc, which I talked about last week, there was a level called the Desert of Canarin, and it was like a stealth level almost, because there were these giant monsters called the Canarin that you had to avoid, because if they saw you, they would chase you down and they would kill you in one hit. And it was really... Now, granted, I played this when I was, like 8 or 9 or something, so everything was scarier to me back then, but it was really, like, intense and...
heavy breathing?
Yeah. Yeah, that was not fun. Even now, well, I haven't played that game in a while, but the last time I played it, I was probably in middle school or high school, and even then, just because of the negative emotions I had associated with that level, I would still be kind of scared. So, let's see. So another book that I was really fond of back in the day was Holes.
Oh.
I own that.
So, Holes is about a kid named Stanley Yelnats, which is Stanley spelled backwards. Well, technically, Stanley is Yelnats spelled backwards, but whatever. It's about this kid who has really bad luck. He gets framed for theft, and he has to go to this prison work camp for young boys. And he gets tangled up in this treasure hunt... in this treasure hunt / conspiracy plot with this evil warden, and I'm sure you've probably seen the movie, which is a really, really good movie and a really, really faithful adaptation to the book. And
Thank you, Shia LaBeouf.
Thank you, Shia LaBeouf. It's probably the only time you'll ever hear me say that on this show. But yeah, I just love that book so much. It was really good.
It was a really good book. I can fix that. I hated the part where he died.
Spoilers.
Broke my freaking heart.
Anyway, so then a couple TV shows that I forgot to talk about last week. First one was, and these all, well, 2 of the 3 share in common the educational theme that we were talking about last week about shows that taught you things and weren't just, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you watch monsters fight each other.
It taught you to believe in the heart of the cards, okay?
That's true. I still say that a lot, so... Anyway, so
That's what I say when I hold up my credit card or my debit card. Like, I gotta believe in the heart of the cards.
So the first one is called Liberty's Kids.
Actually, I did see that.
Yeah, so it was about these 3 kids. One was American, one was British, and one was French. Mm-hmm. And they all lived in America during the time of the American Revolution. And it kind of just followed them around. And I don't remember the whole story, but I think
they worked for a newspaper company.
Oh, yeah, they worked for Ben Franklin, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
I just know they were associated with a newspaper and the printing press.
Yeah, something. Anyway, but they had a lot of interaction with the founding fathers like George Washington and John Adams and Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin was voiced by Walter Cronkite.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And Benedict Arnold.
That bastard.
Was voiced by... I'm pretty sure he was voiced by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Do you want to look it up?
I'm sure, but I'm pretty sure that's who it was.
Traitor.
TR8R.
Yeah. If only we had him on the side of, on our
Justice.
side. Yeah. I think whenever we have a traitor or somebody who commits treason in our country, we have to have, a traitor academy. And the lead person, TR8R.
Yep.
Let's see. I totally misspelled Liberty. Liberty Kids. Benedict Cumberbatch. I just said Cumberbatch, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't it? He was Baron von Steuben.
Oh, the guy that helped train our forces?
I have no idea who that is. Anyway, Michael Douglas played Patrick Henry. Warren Buffett played James Madison. Liam Neeson played a guy named John Paul Jones.
Oh my gosh.
Sylvester Stallone played Paul Revere. Ben Stiller played Thomas Jefferson. And...
They got a lot of people on this.
I know. Billy Crystal played John Adams. Yeah, and then Walter Cronkite was Benjamin Franklin, and Whoopi Goldberg was Deborah Sampson slash Robert Shurtleff. So anyway.
They're very impressive.
Yeah, who knew? Who knew? So yeah, Liberty's Kids. That was a good one. And Magic School Bus.
Of course.
Of course.
You gotta put that in.
Right on the Magic School Bus. Miss Frizzle. The lizard. What was the lizard's name? Was it Liz? I think it was Liz. Yeah, no.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
Better look it up or he's going to have to do it on the next show.
Yeah, Liz.
Okay.
Actually, whoa. So, Liz has two names. Elizabeth Savannah or Lizzie Frizzle. Nice.
So, I mean, what do you really need to say about the Magic School Bus? What was my favorite episode of Magic School Bus? There was one where, Wanda, they go over to Wanda's house and they get shrunk down and they have to build a bridge out of like Q-tips or something.
Oh my gosh.
I just remember that episode and I really liked it. There's another one where...
I like when they have to go through the human body.
Yeah, those are always my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Is that the one when they go into Arnold?
There's one of those.
Yeah, they do it multiple times.
Where they make him burp.
Don't
Yeah.
they go through his nose or something?
No, they go through his mouth.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, they're close to each other, so.
That's true. There's one where Arnold has a cousin.
Wait, is it the girl?
Yeah.
The really annoying one that nobody liked?
And they looked the same except she had longer hair.
So it's basically like, how Milhouse's parents look the same,
Yeah.
but they're not related, even though here they are. It's just, you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Anyway, so was it her? I don't know. Anyway, something about there was like bad smells and they had to blow up the bad smell molecules in order for only good smells because there's like a smelling competition. I don't know. I'm also pretty sure that's not how smells work. But yeah, Magic School Bus. And then the other show I want to talk about was Dragon Tales.
Oh,
Yes.
Well, what is it?
Dragon?
I wish with all my heart to fly with dragons in a land apart. And then to go home it was, I wish to use this rhyme to go back home until next time. And so there was the kids, Max, and what was the girl's name?
I can see her face, but I don't know what her name is.
Emmy and Max.
Oh, okay. And then there was Ord and Cassie and Zach and Wheezy. And the old dragon's name was...
Quetzal.
I never would have been able to tell you that. Anyway, yeah. I don't have anything to say about it. It was just good stuff. Ooh, I just thought of another one. There was this cartoons that you could buy from McDonald's about Ronald McDonald and his crew in McDonald Land.
The squad.
Yeah, and so every episode started off with Ronald McDonald waking up in his house, and he would get like a distress call, and he would jump into this ball pit, and he would fall down this tube with his dog.
And they become cartoonized.
And yeah, they would become animated, and then he would go do something in McDonald Land.
We watched that on YouTube when you told me about that. Yeah. It was very creepy.
Yeah, it was super creepy.
I believe that.
Yeah. But Grimace.
Apparently there's a whole race of Grimaces.
Yeah.
I thought it was always funny.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so then the last childhood thing that I want to talk about, and then we'll move on, is Hot Wheels. So I had this Hot Wheels thing, and so it was a container about a foot long, maybe 6 inches high, and so it folded open, and you kept all your Hot Wheels in there. And then on one side, there was a stand, so you could stand it up, and then it became a ramp, and so it would go down like this, and then you could attach the little yellow Hot Wheels track things, and you could race, because there were like flags at the bottom, I think. So you could race your Hot Wheels, and you could carry them around and stuff. My favorite Hot Wheel that I had was a Batmobile replica that I found when I was leaving a like dinner party with my parents' friend's house. It was like on the curb, and I took it and I brought it home. That was my favorite Hot Wheel. And then I had this PC game called Hot Wheels Stunt Track Racer that was super fun, and basically all you did was race cars through these. So there was a pseudo story to the game. So you start it up, and there's this intro movie, and you're this kid, and you open up your door, and there's this Hot Wheels branded 18-wheeler, and they drop off like an entire store shipment worth of Hot Wheels merchandise at your house. And so then you, as the kid, make a bunch of insane Hot Wheels tracks throughout your house. So there's one in your bedroom, one in your living room, one in the backyard, one in like the downstairs basement, one in like the greenhouse, one in the attic. I think that's it. No, there might be more. So you had a few different, like maybe 16 different cars that you could unlock, and they all had different stats and, you know, look different and stuff. And you could like do tricks to get more points, and I don't know, I played so much of that game. There's also a level creator that you could use that was really fun. Yeah. Hot Wheels Stunt Track Racer. I'm going to go home and look it up on YouTube. I hope there's people who've recorded it. Otherwise, I might have to go to my parents' house and see if I can find it.
It gives you an excuse to go see your mom and dad.
Besides laundry, you mean?
That too.
Anyway, that's all the childhood stuff I have. Brandon, do you have anything you wanted to add from elementary school years? I'll take that as a no.
So I never had a PlayStation 2, but whenever I went to my friend's house, he would always be playing it. So he would allow me to play it. And I remember one game that really, really stuck with me was Sly Cooper. And I don't know what it was about that game. I just loved it so much. Maybe because you had to be a thief and it relied a lot on stealth. There were fighting elements in the game, but you had to be very quiet and stealth-like and sneaky to make sure that you got the mission accomplished. I just loved the level design, and the characters were so funny and so unique. That just really, really stuck with me as a kid. And they're making a movie about it, aren't they?
Yeah. I think it's coming out soon. I want to say like next year.
I think so. And I saw the trailer. It was alright. It wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to that.
All right. Well, that is all of the old things we had to cover. So we're going to take a break. You're going to listen to music. You know the drill. So enjoy, and we will be right back.
Oh, thank God, I gotta pee.
Okay, we are back, and we're going to kick off our news segment with a trailer for once. Feels like it's been a long time since we've talked about a trailer.
It's been a while.
So, this is, of course, the third trailer for Star Trek Beyond, which comes out pretty soon, a couple weeks, I think. And yeah, so this trailer actually came out like a week ago.
Did it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Well, but we haven't recorded a regular episode since then, so. Yeah, so new Star Trek trailer didn't show off a whole lot other than more footage of the Enterprise being destroyed. That was probably the main thing. So it looks like they're going to be on some planet more than on the ship and not Earth, so that's cool if you're into that, I guess.
Isn't that like most Star Trek?
I don't think so.
I wouldn't know, honestly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, Rihanna had a new song in the trailer.
Yeah, Sledgehammer.
If you like Rihanna, then that's cool.
I like her.
Yeah, not really my thing. Yeah, I don't know. This trailer didn't really make me any more hyped for the movie.
I like the second one. I think out of all the trailers we've seen, the
Yeah,
second one was the best. This one was just okay. It's like that trailer that comes out after the theatrical trailer, and they add a contemporary song onto it.
Yeah.
Just to...
Like the Assassin's Creed trailer?
Yes, the one where it says, I am a god.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't really need to release that trailer because it's so close to the movie coming out. It's like, I don't really see what the point of that was, but I don't know.
Are you going to go see it?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely
You're gonna see
it. Yeah. So anyway, speaking of Star Trek, this news tidbit actually came out yesterday, I believe, and that is that Sulu, whatever I don't know what his first name is, honestly, but played by John Cho in the movie, his character is going to be gay in the new movie as an homage to George Takei, who played Sulu on the original Star Trek television series, who is himself in real life famously gay. And plot twist, George Takei is against this move, which I thought was really interesting.
I thought so too. I was very surprised about that.
So I read an article from AV Club, and they reported that George Takei, when he was originally Sulu, he went to the director of the show and he asked if Sulu could be gay because he wasn't out of the closet at that point, or is that politically correct to say? I don't really know. He did not make his sexuality public knowledge at that time. And so he asked if Sulu could be gay, and the director said, like, he was sympathetic, Takei said, but he didn't think that it was a good idea at the time because apparently they recently had an interracial kiss on the show, and viewership in the South decreased dramatically after that because, I mean, it was...
I know.
When did the original start? It was like the 70s, right?
Around that time.
Yeah, so things were...
Down south.
Yeah. So George said, okay, that's fine. And so since then, he has been pushing for a character on the show to be gay, which is, fine. The LGBT community wants more diversity, more inclusion, more representation in modern media. And that's, fine. Everyone deserves to have their segment of the population represented. The reason that George Takei is upset that Sulu is going to be gay is because he's an established character who has his own family and everything, and there was never any hint that he was homosexual previously. And so he feels that this is purely...
Just because of him?
Yeah. Basically. And so he wanted it to be a new character, to have his own backstory and that kind of thing.
I know Zachary Quinto and Simon Pegg they respectfully disagreed with George Takei about this.
Zachary Quinto is also
Yes.
gay in real life. Simon Pegg not, as far as I know.
So I don't know, I thought it was very interesting to see how the two of them reacted with each other about this.
Yeah. How do you feel about it?
How do I feel about it? I see it more from Takei's side.
Yeah, I do too.
I feel like,
It's really like the Captain America thing all over again,
Yeah.
where we have this character who's never had any homosexual inclinations before. Why would you go turn this around just purely because people have been asking for it? Where
I mean, unless you want to count the fact that it's an alternate timeline, then because I know in the Ultimate version, in the Ultimate comics of Marvel, Colossus is gay in the Ultimates.
Yeah, I guess.
So you could say the alternate timeline is the reason for it, but honestly, I wouldn't have seen it coming. I wouldn't have done it personally.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how they pull it off in the movie. Are they going to, make a big deal about it, or is like how are they going to portray
That's
that
a good thing, because if they made a big deal about it, would people complain and saying, "Oh, why are they making such a big deal about it?" But if they don't give enough attention, are they going to be, why don't they give enough attention to that? Yeah. I don't know. It's a very tricky line whenever you play these things.
No, I definitely agree. All right, so moving on. So again, this is a bit older news, but it was announced that
old news, everyone.
It was announced that the upcoming Tetris movie that we've talked about before on the show has now morphed into a trilogy.
What?
3 Tetris movies, not 1. Because according to the director, the story that they have set out is far too complex to only be 1 movie.
How do you do that with Tetris?
I don't know. He said,
unless it comes to the part of Lord of the Rings where they become a backstory with Tetris, and they say the building blocks, the foundation of the universe were built on these blocks itself, created this, then I don't understand why. But it's a game where you put blocks upon blocks upon blocks.
Maybe the blocks will be alive.
Plot twist.
According to the director, he's read a lot of speculation about what this movie could be about, and he said that no one has come close to guessing what the movie is going to be about. So I don't know where they're going with this movie.
I feel like now, because he said that, I feel a little bit compelled to go watch this movie. I will give him that much, just because he added that suspense.
I just think that proclaiming that it's going to be a trilogy before the first movie is even in production is just putting the cart way ahead of the horse. Like, if this first movie crashes and burns, which is highly likely, then what? Like, there's gonna be, no matter how bad any movie is, there's always gonna be a cult following of people who love that movie, and they're gonna feel disappointed because they didn't get the conclusion to the story. They're going to be left to wonder what was going to happen in the other 2 movies. And that's not fair. Even to me, even if I go and watch it and think it's terrible, if there's no satisfying conclusion, I'm still going to feel
like you were cheated.
Yeah, I'm going to feel even more upset because not only did I watch a crappy movie, but I don't even get to know the whole story.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I would never have foreseen it as a trilogy.
I think it could just be a big PR stunt because everyone keeps saying, all I've heard is that, oh, this is dumb. Like, how are you going to make a movie about Tetris? And so by tripling that, they're tripling down on the dumb Tetris idea, I think. And they're just trying to create buzz.
Or who knows? Maybe he's going to blow our socks off and
maybe
it's going to be one of the greatest films on
I would love that, but I don't know. I said on Twitter that I was really surprised they didn't make it a quadrilogy because it's Tetris. If you don't know, Tetris blocks are all of the different variations that you can make out of 4 different blocks. Alright, so next thing. It was announced that the actor who played Muse in Captain Phillips has been cast in Blade Runner 2.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's good, because I don't think he's had an acting role since then.
He was in Eye in the Sky.
Uh-huh.
That's all I got.
I'm happy. I'm happy he's back.
Yeah. I liked him in Captain Phillips, but I feel like he pulled off that role because
of his ethnicity?
Yeah, basically. I didn't think his acting was like super amazing, and to be honest, like, his accent is pretty thick. It was hard for me to understand him sometimes. So, yeah. And then on top of that, I'm not a huge fan of the original Blade Runner movie, so I'm probably not going to see the second one, at least not for a really long time.
True,
so,
but I'm just happy he's getting more opportunities.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Because I know I think he was a taxi driver, or he had some sort
before Captain Phillips?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was very underpaid for Captain Phillips.
Yeah.
And I think after he finished that role, he went back to his original job.
Mm.
So it's good that he's having another job where he can act again.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy about that.
Okay, so we have a bunch of Pokemon news to talk about, which Brandon is thrilled about. If you could see his face, you would only know. So first thing is Komala was leaked in the Japanese magazine Korokoro, and the ability that was put in the magazine was translated as deep sleep, but now he was officially revealed in English, and so his ability is called Comatose. So it still works the same, but it's just got an official English name now, so that's cool. And in the meantime, there were a total of 8 new Pokemon who were introduced. So first one is called Tapu Koko. He's an electric fairy type, so he shares that type with Dedenne from Pokemon X and Y. He's the guardian of Melimeli Island, which is one of the islands in the Alola region. And on his arms, he's got like these 2 shield things, which he can use to cover up his body. And it looks like a bird on the outside. And then on the inside, he's got this crazy like mohawk. And he looks pretty fierce. And so his ability is called Electric Surge, which essentially, when you send him out on the battlefield, it creates the electric terrain field effect, which prevents affected Pokemon from being afflicted by sleep or yawn, and it increases the damage done by electric-type moves by affected Pokemon by 50%. By affected Pokemon, it means Pokemon that make contact with the ground, so Pokemon that are flying-type, Pokemon that have the ability to levitate, or Pokemon that are under the influence of the move Telekinesis would be unaffected by electric terrain. So yeah, that's weird. It's an original ability, as far as we know. It's the only Pokemon to have this ability, and I feel like it could be useful, maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting choice. The electric terrain was introduced in 6th generation along with the moves Grassy Terrain and Misty Terrain. Grassy Terrain restores HP to affected Pokemon by 1/16 at the end of every turn, and increases the damage done by grass-type moves by 50%. And the power of the moves Earthquake, Bulldoze, and Magnitude are halved.
Pop.
Grassy Terrain also activates the ability Grass Pelt, which increases the defense of Pokemon by 50%. Increases the defense of the Pokemon with the Grass Pelt ability by 50%. And then Misty Terrain prevents affected Pokemon from being afflicted by non-volatile status conditions or yawn. I already explained what a non-volatile status condition is this episode, so you're welcome. And it halves the damage taken from Dragon-type moves by affected Pokemon. So yeah, that's Tapu Koko and related information that you probably didn't care about.
I wouldn't say didn't care about. It was a lot of information.
Yep. So the next one is Cutie Fly, which is a flying fairy type, and I have to say, it's pretty cute.
Aw, that's sweet.
So, fun fact, the Cutie Fly is based on a real-life insect which flies into beehives and lays its eggs there, and then the flies hatch inside the hive, and feed on the bee's honey.
A parasite.
Yep. So the next one is called Togedumaru.
Do you think they're like, the bees like get together and have like rallies saying, they're crossing into our border?
I really doubt it.
You don't know what bees do in their free time?
That's true. So the next one is called Togedumaru, and it is an electric steel type that is based on a hedgehog, I guess, but it also has a long tail. It looks like a ball with a long tail. And it doesn't really look like steel type to me. It's got some gray coloring on it, but other than that,
there's really no indication.
Yeah. It has the abilities Iron Barbs or Lightning Rod. Iron Barbs Pokemon that make contact moves against a Pokemon with the ability Iron Barb will take 1/16 damage. And Lightning Rod draws in Lightning-type moves in double or triple battles. And Pokemon that are hit with Electric-type moves that have Lightning Rod will have their special attack increased by 1 stage. So Tokenomaru continues the line of electric rodent type Pokemon, electric rodent Pokemon. So Pikachu and Raichu were first gen, Pichu was second gen, Plusle and Minun were third gen, Pachirisu was fourth gen, Emolga was fifth gen, and Dedenne was sixth gen.
Every time you say that, it makes me think you're going to say Dende.
Dende,
Yeah.
I know. I think that every time too. So the next one is called Charjabug, which is the evolved form of Francisco's favorite Pokemon, Grubbin. Charjabug is an electric bug type, which is not unique. It shares that typing with Joltik and Galvantula from the 5th generation. And Charjabug is really funny because it looks like a subway car.
Yeah.
And there have been quite a few memes about that. I don't really mind it. I do think it looks funny. And if it was just a Pokemon like that by itself, I would think it's dumb. But because it's the middle evolution, it's kind of like the cocoon stage almost. I don't really mind. I think it kind of makes sense.
It kind of reminds me of the box from a charger when you said that.
Oh, I see that, actually.
Yeah.
Like an iPhone charger?
Yeah.
Charjabug's ability is called Battery, which raises the power of allies' special moves. It's a very nondescript ability. I'm guessing it only is active in double or triple battles. But anyway, Charjabug evolves into the Pokemon Vikavolt. I don't know if it's called Vikavolt or Vikavolt. Anyway. Fun fact, his Japanese name is Kawaganon, which is very similar to Kawagamon, the evolution of Tentomon, Izzy's Digimon in Digimon, which is also a giant electric beetle.
Oh, and I think it's Kabuterimon. Kawagamon is the Digimon with the pincers.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. But as we know from several episodes ago, that whole
Digimon thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Good times.
Did you put this much research into your college papers?
And not even close. Anyway, so Vikavolt has the ability Levitate, which prevents it from being affected by ground-type moves under normal circumstances. There are ways around that, but whatever. Anyway, Vikavolt looks really cool. I really like its design. It's got these giant pincers in the front.
I think now I'm just gonna assume probably right that Kawaga means like stag beetle in Japanese. Or
You should look that up.
I should.
So our next Pokemon is Bruxish, which is a water psychic type Pokemon.
The design of this Pokemon, I could see it being in SpongeBob.
Sure, why not? It's probably the ugliest Pokemon ever made.
That's not true.
I hate this design.
I'd say one of them.
It looks like the type of fish that's in Finding Nemo with the light on its head.
The anglerfish?
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
That's what you look like.
Good one.
Thank you.
So, Bruxish is, according to Will Anderson, co-host of It's Super Effective, a Pokemon podcast, who lived in Hawaii for many years. Not according to Bulbapedia, which disagrees with him, but I'm going to go with Will on this one because he seems more knowledgeable because he lived in Hawaii. Anyway, Bruxish is based on the state fish of Hawaii, the Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Kuapa'ua. They have teeth like a human, which Bruxish does as well. Bruxish's coloring is very different from the picture on Google. It's like pink and purple. It got a little bit of yellow and blue in it. The Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apua is like white with a little bit of black and yellow. Anyway, Bruxish has the ability either Strong Jaw, which increases all biting-based moves by 50%, which makes sense because it's got those big, ugly teeth. Or it has the ability Dazzling, which prevents opposing Pokemon from using moves with increased priority, which is really interesting. So that's a brand new ability, And I feel like if that's all it does is any priority move cannot be used, that could be really, really good and possibly broken, because there are a lot of moves that don't do damage that have increased priority, such as Protect, that if they couldn't be used, that would be really broken, I think. Maybe broken, I don't know. So the next one is called Drampa, which is a portmanteau of dragon and grandpa, because it looks like an old man dragon. It kind of reminds me of the dragon from the Neverending Story.
That's the dragon I was thinking about.
His name is Falcor, I believe.
Falcor?
Yeah.
That's a very mighty name.
Yeah, Falcor. Anyway, so Drampa is a normal dragon-type Pokemon, which is a brand new dragon-type combination. So it's brand new, but it's not very good because normal isn't a particularly good offensive type, and it just gives it a weakness to fighting type, which is a really common offensive type. It gives it an immunity to ghost type moves, but it's not really a good trade-off, in my opinion. Anyway, Drampa has either the ability Sap Sipper, which makes it immune to grass type moves and boosts its attack by 1 stage when hit by a grass type move, or it has the ability Berserk, which increases its special attack by 1 stage when it falls below 50%, which is a brand new ability. I think I said that already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an okay ability. If it gets a recovery move, I think it'll be good. If not, I feel like it's not going to be that great. So that's Drampa. And then the last new Pokemon, so those first 7 were all introduced in one big trailer. And then a few days ago, a new Pokemon was revealed, and its name is Salandit, and it is the toxic lizard Pokemon. It is poison fire type, which is also a brand new type combination, which is really cool. And it has the ability Corrosion, which means that it can poison any Pokemon regardless of its type. I don't know. So in the trailer, it showed it poisoning a poison type Pokemon, which are normally can't be poisoned, as well as a steel type Pokemon, which also can't be poisoned. I don't know if this means that it can poison any Pokemon, such as, could it poison a Pokemon with the ability Immunity, which prevents poison under normal conditions? I don't know. If the Pokemon switches out and then it comes back, will it still be poisoned? I don't know. Can it poison a Pokemon that already is inflicted with a non-volatile status condition? Would it replace, say, a burn with poison condition? I don't know. There are a lot of questions here that we won't be able to find out until the game is released. So I'm frustrated because I want to know. I think this is a really cool ability.
It actually is, and I love the design of it too.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to evolve, and I think it has potential to look super cool. But yeah,
poison and fire.
Yeah. So that's all the Pokemon news for this week, I think. Okay, so the next thing is it was announced that Wreck-It Ralph 2 is being made and is coming out in 2018.
That gives me time to watch the first one.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good.
It's really good.
I've been told.
So they didn't say much about it other than it was revealed that Ralph, as well as Vanellope, she's in the movie.
Is that the little girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
They break out of the arcade and invade the internet.
That's so much potential.
Yep. However, I just thought of this. The actress who voices Vanellope von Schweetz, her name is
Sarah Silverman. And just this morning, she was in the ICU. Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't see that?
No.
Yeah, I don't know what happens. She had some sort of illness. And like overnight, things just got really badly and she's in the ICU. So hopefully she recovers and is able to still voice Vanellope, because that would be really sad if they had to replace her.
That's really sad, actually.
Yeah.
Who voices Ralph? John C. Reilly?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then who else was in that movie? Jack, what's his name? He plays Kenneth on 30 Rock.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Jack McBray, that's his name. He played Fix-It Felix, and then there's a badass military chick played by Jane Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're going to be in the movie. I would assume they would, but who knows?
Animated movies usually bring them back. Usually. I'm saying usually.
Usually. So anyway, Wreck-It Ralph 2, I'm really excited, but we've got to wait a long time for it to come out. So
I'm sorry.
moving on. It was announced that Tom Felton, a.k.a. Draco Malfoy, will be in Season 3 of The Flash.
Mm-hmm.
His role was not announced, and honestly, I have no guesses for who he could play.
I don't know, honestly. But I'm excited to see him.
Me too.
You know, maybe at one point he's going to be like, wait till my father hears about this. But he says it like in a really nice manner. He like texts his dad like, Dad, I met the Flash.
I couldn't see him being played as anyone else that wasn't evil. I feel like he'd have to be a bad guy just because he looks like one. I couldn't see him playing anyone else but a bad guy because he looks so bad in all the other movies that you can't. I couldn't imagine him being a good guy, so he has to be a villain.
Okay, when you say other movies, you mean the Harry Potter movies?
Basically,
or okay.
Yes, they're multiple, so it counts.
He was in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, where he also played a bad guy.
He was?
Yeah.
Damn it, Draco. Every time.
So it was announced, I think just yesterday, that at the end of the Civil War II comic series, that Tony Stark is giving up being Iron Man.
Quote unquote.
Quote unquote, and will be released by a sassy young black woman named Riri Williams.
Did they say sassy?
No. But I'm assuming she's going to be sassy.
Why? Because her name's Riri?
No. So her story is that she was in MIT and she was inspired by Tony and built her own prototype Iron Man suit and got kicked out because of it for some reason. But she got Tony's attention, and then she proves herself to him because of it, and then becomes the new Iron Man, even though she's not a man. So I don't know what they're going to call her. I would assume Iron Woman, but who knows?
That's a good question. I wouldn't know. Because if they go with the moniker Iron Woman, Pepper was actually an Iron Woman for a while.
So how do you feel about all this?
Honestly, I just think it's just another way for Marvel to kind of garner attention, because I know that whenever the heroes, they give up their, their superhero identities, it doesn't stay permanently. They get them back eventually. Yeah. Because, when Thor lost the ability to wield Mjolnir, I don't know who she is, but she was able to wield the mantle of Thor. So, and at that point, a woman was Thor.
Oh, you mean Jane Foster?
Was it Jane Foster?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. See, I'm really behind on the comics. And then Falcon becomes Captain America. Miles Morales is Spider-Man. Both are African American. Miles Morales, he's Mexican and African American. Yeah. But, it changes that. The people who come back, they still have their identities, but it's just a new way for Marvel to do that. However, I am totally for it, though. It gives them an opportunity to bring more diverse characters into the mix. So, and I do hope she has a good character.
I'm okay with having a black female superhero, but I don't want her to replace Iron Man. I don't see why they couldn't have her own Iron Man style suit and call her Iron Woman, but also have Iron Man. Like, why does it have to be one or the other?
Do you know who Batwing is in DC?
Yeah.
So they could have done something like that. But
yeah, exactly.
I don't know why. But I'm interested to see where Marvel is taking this. So we'll see.
Yeah, but it got mainstream pretty quickly. Like, I believe that someone had the exclusive reveal, but then it got picked up by ABC News reported it on.
It was on time too, on Facebook. Yeah.
So
I just think it's things like that really it breaks the mold and it gets the media's attention like that.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man.
Because nowadays everything has to be when some different ethnicity breaks through, it automatically needs automatic coverage. Which I think, it does deserve that to an extent, but when you start kind of grabbing for every type of attention that way, then it becomes, you need to be careful to see that, make sure that, you're just paying attention on this just because of that one particular issue, not because of anything else.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so we'll see how that turns out. If she enters into the MCU, I don't see it happening for quite a while. But we'll see. So, earlier this week, Shigeru Miyamoto, the famous game designer for Nintendo, he clarified a statement that we reported on a few weeks ago about Nintendo getting into the movie business. Mm-hmm. And what they meant in their original quote was that they are open to discussing partnerships with film companies to make movies based on their IP, but at the moment they do not have any movies or plans for movies in the works. So basically what he's trying to say is that it's a possibility, but it's not happening anytime soon, which is a shame because we were both really excited about that possibility. A lot of people were really excited about it. And, in this day and age with social media, it is so easy for companies to hear what their fans are saying. And everyone was positive on the idea if the movies were done right. Everyone was excited for it. So I don't know why they're not actively and aggressively pursuing branching out into this business.
Maybe they're just biding their time because, the stigma is that video games don't translate into movies very well. Yeah. So maybe they're just trying to be very careful about that. Because let's say they go with Metroid. I would want the Metroid movie to be as best as possible before.
Well, don't you want every movie that comes out to be as best as possible?
Yeah, but if we're going to be talking about a fantasy world, I also want $1 million and a Megazord, but that's never going to happen.
Just $1 million?
Fine. I want to be as rich as Black Panther.
Dang.
Yeah. I want my own kingdom. I'll call it Brandonia. And on every corner will be a statue of me.
Solid.
Being like this.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about the Nintendo movies. I just want it to happen.
I do too.
I don't think there's any reason for it to not happen as long as they can find the right people to make it good.
I agree.
So earlier this week, we've got another Spider-Man Homecoming casting announcement.
Okay, we promise we won't talk too much about this stuff.
Yeah. So her name
okay,
is Angourie Rice. She's Australian, I believe. She's
from down under.
When I looked on her IMDb page, she hadn't been in anything I'd ever heard of, so probably just small Australian stuff. But she is young, so I'm guessing she's going to be one of Peter Parker's schoolmates, and she's blonde, which means that we could have a Gwen Stacy situation on our hands. Not necessarily the romantic love interest, but she was one of Peter's friends before there was ever any entanglement between them. Pun intended.
Nice. And she was in The Nice Guys.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that. I just haven't seen it. I mean, I've heard of that movie, but I haven't seen it yet.
Me neither.
I heard it was really good.
That's
what Michael said.
Yeah.
Shout out to Michael. So the showrunners for Game of Thrones announced this week that Season 7 is going to be premiering later than usual because, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, in the finale of Season 6, Jon Snow says to Sansa Stark, "Winter is here." Now, if you don't watch Game of Thrones, that's not going to make any sense. And if you do watch it, you know what it means, so I don't need to explain it. But anyway, basically what that means is that they need to film at a bunch of snowy locations, so they have to wait for it to get cold.
Yeah.
Not just in So, in Game of Thrones, there's the north, where it's snowing all the time, and then there's King's Landing in the south, where it's usually warm and sunny in the summer. But now they have to wait for King's Landing to get snowy, so they have to wait for wherever they filmed that on location. They have to wait for it to get cold and snowy there too. So it's a shame.
But it gives them more time to, do some other stuff.
True.
Basically, winter is not coming fast enough in real life.
IRL, yeah.
Yeah.
There's only going to be 2 more seasons of Game of Thrones.
Really? I thought this was going to be the last season. I know I read somewhere it was going to be only 13 episodes left.
Right. So that's definitely confirmed. But from what I've heard, fans are speculating that it's going to be split up into 2 seasons, so probably
just
7 and 6 episodes.
Can you believe it's coming to an end?
I'm really torn because I don't want it to go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want them to give me a good, satisfying conclusion, but at the same time, it's like...
When did it come out? Like, 2000... Because the books have been around for a while.
Yeah.
Like, 1994, 1995.
Yeah.
But the show started 2000... I can't remember. I think... I was in high school when it started.
Really?
So, 2000... I want to say 12 or 13. Maybe even 2011.
Well, this is season 6, 2016, so mathematically, you would think 2010.
I guess so. But
yeah,
it's finally come to an end.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. Like, I want a good ending, but I'm also going to be really sad when it's over because it's like...
You've been with this thing.
I know.
It's going to be just like with Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
But Valar Morghulis, all men must die.
Valar Morghulis.
Yeah. I say Valar.
Well, never mind. Okay, so it was announced. Well, actually, it wasn't. This came from the E3 Treehouse stream from Nintendo that somehow I totally missed. So we talked about the Wolf Link amiibo, how in Breath of the Wild you scan it in and Wolf Link appears and fights by your side. But what I missed out on is that the amount of health that your Wolf Link companion in Breath of the Wild has is based on the number of hearts your character has in The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, and you save that data to your Wolf Link amiibo. So basically what that means is that between now and when Breath of the Wild comes out, I have to 100% Twilight Princess again.
You better get on it.
Yeah, I'm not super happy about this because out of the 5 3D Zeldas, Twilight Princess is my least favorite by quite a bit. Is it really? Yeah, it's not a bad game at all. But I enjoy the other 4 3D Zelda games so much that Twilight Princess just doesn't cut it for me. So I would rather play pretty much any of the other games again than play that one, but I need to have Wolf Link help me out, so I'm gonna have to play it again. Bill Trinan, I don't know what his official job title, but he's a Nintendo bigwig. He announced that Wolf Link will most likely, the Wolf Link amiibo will most likely be able to be bought separately from the HD game bundle soon. So that's good news.
Yes, it doesn't mean you have to buy the entire bundle just to get that one thing.
So I'm really glad I didn't buy a second bundle to get the amiibo. In case you guys don't know, I collect 2 of every amiibo. One to keep in the box because the boxes look super cool, and then one to take out of the box and use and display on shelves. So I only bought 1 bundle, and I almost bought a second bundle because they got really cheap. Like, I think they got down to like $33, $35 on Amazon a couple weeks ago. I almost bought another one, and then I could have sold the game and probably, recouped most of that money. Or I could have imported the solo amiibo from Japan. But I'm glad I waited because now I can get a regular version, a North American copy box version. Okay, so let's talk about Pokemon Go. The new hotness. Yes. I'm really surprised about how many people I've seen.
I knew it was going to be popular, but not to this scale.
Right. So
everybody has it. Even Robyn has it.
Yeah.
Already caught 3 Pokemon. Just putting it out there.
I've caught 4.
I've seen people who caught like 20 at this point.
Well, I only just started playing it today, and I played it at my apartment a little bit before I headed over here, and I caught a few Pokemon. And then I got here and I tried to play it again, and it seems to have deleted everything that I had already caught. So this game has been plagued by a lot of errors.
Yeah,
so far.
It can get glitchy. The server backs up.
Yeah, it's been a pretty messy release. But
I blame Team Rocket.
Despite that, I've definitely seen a lot of negative things, but I feel like overall people are still really positive on it. Even in the very brief amount of time I played it, I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I believe that.
So
I'm seeing people walk around everywhere with their phones in front of them, just trying to catch Pokemon. Last night at 12 at midnight until like 12:30 a.m., Emily told me to, let's go walk around and catch Pokemon.
Oh my gosh.
So we're just like walking around the campus, just catching Pokemon in the middle of the night. And I just thought
That sounds safe.
I thought in my head, if a police officer just stops us, he's gonna ask, "What are you doing?" "Yo, we're catching Pokemon. You want to join us?" It boggled my mind that people were just going out and doing this late at night, because we were not the only ones.
There was Pokemon on my bed, my first one. I was just chilling on my bed. I was like, this is interesting.
Kevin found one in his bathroom.
Yeah, so I think people are going to get out and walk around their neighborhoods a lot more, which I think can only be a good thing. And
unless they live in the ghetto.
And I think that there's going to be I hope to see a lot of, I saw someone on Facebook post, like, I can't wait to hear Pokemon Go weight loss stories because they've been walking around trying to catch Pokemon so much. And I feel like that's a very real possibility. And just, it encourages you to go to places that you probably
would never go.
Yeah. Like walk around campus at midnight.
I know one story I saw on Facebook was that it's getting people to go to church.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lot of Pokemon in churches.
Well, I mean, you have to walk around to get to the gym thing, so. Because I was sitting in my room the other day trying to play when the one was in my bed, and I was like, ooh, let's go to the gym. But then I had to walk outside of my house, and I was like, that's not happening.
See, it takes as much work to go to the Pokemon gym as it is to get to the real gym.
Yeah, but I think the most important thing that's come out of Pokemon Go so far is the memes.
Yes.
So many memes. Like, did you see that one SpongeBob one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really funny.
That was really good.
Probably my favorite one so far.
And then I saw one meme was that this guy was in front of a police officer, and he was like, "It's like, sir, you can't come here. It's a crime scene, but there's a Charmander in there. All right, sir, go on ahead."
Anyway, that's Pokemon Go. If you have a smartphone, you should check it out. That means you, Brandon.
No, I'm not getting this app because I know if I do, I'm gonna get too addicted, and I will put too much of my focus on that. You know how I am with things; I get way too attached to them.
Yeah, that's why it's fun. Live on air, I'm trying to catch a Pidgeotto.
Oh my god!
Here, I'll take a picture. I missed the first one. Okay, I got it in the ball. Now I just have to catch it. And I got it. Yay. I'm a Pokemon master. Okay, let's move on. So, Funko, the makers of pop vinyls, they go all out for San Diego Comic-Con with exclusives. So, over the last couple weeks, they've been revealing the exclusives that they're going to have at their booth for SDCC. So over the past couple weeks, they've been revealing which their exclusives for SDCC. So I thought it would be fun to talk about them.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so in their first wave. Well, you know what? Let's not talk about waves. That's no fun. So we've got a translucent Gritter Green Goblin with glider.
Did you say Gritter?
No, I said glitter.
It sounded like you said Gritter.
No, definitely didn't say glitter. So we've got first to market versions of the Powerpuff Girls, Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. So first to market basically means that it's going to have a fancy SDCC sticker, and after that it'll be released to the general public and regular retailers. And then we've got a Dorbs ride. So Dorbs, we've talked about on the podcast before because I've gotten them in a couple of the subscription boxes. They're just tiny, big head, smiley versions of characters, and rides are them with a vehicle. And so this is from Wreck-It Ralph. It's Vanellope von Schweetz's car that she has in the movie. And then a Dorbs 3-pack of Tim Burton's Batman Returns with Batwoman, Catwoman, and Penguin. And then another 3-pack pops of the Sex Bombs from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So it's Scott Pilgrim, and then I don't remember his bandmates' names, but the other dude has a guitar, and then the chick has some drumsticks. So then we've got a silver Superman who has the words False God written on his chest, as he does in like the statue in Batman vs. Superman. And then there's a black and white thumbs up Deadpool. a Dark Crystal Land Striker Reaction box set. Alice Through the Looking Glass Dorbs 4-pack. So it's the Mad Hatter, the White Rabbit, Time, and...
What is that?
I think it's the Dormouse.
I think so.
Yeah. Then we've got a Pop 2-pack. It's Peter Potamus and So-So, who's a monkey. They're Hanna-Barbera cartoon characters. And that is 750 pieces, limited edition. Then the next one is a a Blue Gamma glow-in-the-dark Duck Dodgers pop. Also 750 limited edition. And then a White Gamma glow-in-the-dark Duck Dodgers, which is 1500 limited edition. Then we've got Violet Beauregard from Willy Wonka, and she is in... If you've seen the movie, she turns into a giant blueberry in the movie, and so she looks like that. She's got a blue face and then a giant blue body. And then there's a New 52 Harley Quinn rock candy figure. If you recall from the DC TV Legion of Collectors box, I got a Supergirl rock candy figure. So that's cool. And then there's 4 Haunted Mansion ghosts that are all glow in the dark. So the first one is named Phineas, which is limited to 1,000 pieces. Then there's Ezra, who's limited to 1,000 pieces. Gus, who's also 1,000 pieces limited, who totally looks like Herschel from The Walking Dead. And then the last one, his name is Hatbox Ghost. He's got a top hat on, and he is a blue glowing figure rather than the white glowing figure. Also 1,000 pieces limited. And then the last one is Doctor Strange with Rune.
That one looks really cool.
Then we've got a Pop Ride, which is a red Ecto-1 from the upcoming Ghostbusters movie with Slimer driving the car. And then there's Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War carrying a head of some alien, which is... because it's going to be from Gears of War 4, I'm pretty sure.
Is it?
I think so. Let me see if I can zoom in here. It doesn't say Gears of War. I don't know what a locust looks like. Is that what it looks like? Yeah, that's what it looks like. So he's got a locust head. So that's 1,000 pieces, limited edition. And then there's a variant with a gold lancer, which is their chainsaw machine gun thing. Then there's a burning walker from The Walking Dead who is on fire. Then there is Cursed Captain Barbossa from Pirates of the Caribbean. So it's Captain Barbossa and his monkey pet Jack, and they're both in their skeletal forms from the first movie. Except they don't really look like they do in the movie, I don't think. They look more zombified than skeletal, I think.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard to make us... to keep the features and also make it skeletal for
I guess.
Pops.
I don't know.
I would think so.
Yeah. Then there is a Huckleberry Hound Dorbs. The Huckleberry Hound is a really famous Hanna-Barbera cartoon character, and that's a 500-piece limited edition. And then a Wreck-It Ralph Dorbs 3-pack with Turbo, Ralph, and Felix, which is limited to 750 pieces. And then there is Doug from the movie Up, and he's got a cone on his head like he does in the movie, which is it's a Toy Tokyo exclusive. Toy Tokyo is a company that has quite a few exclusive pop vinyls. They have one of my favorites, which is the Robot Devil with a violin.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Speaking of Robot Devil, I just watched the episode when he trades his hands for fries. And he's stuck with them. Yeah. And Fry can make incredible music and can do awesome things with it. Great episode.
That is a good episode. And then there's a Buffy the Vampire Slayer 2-pack with Vampire Buffy and Vampire Angel. Also a Toy Tokyo exclusive. Have you ever watched Buffy?
I haven't actually.
No, me neither. My sister watched it all not too long ago.
What'd you think about it?
I think overall she liked it, but she said that it's really rough at the beginning, and towards the end of the series, she thought it really dragged on, like it went on for too long. But I think overall she was positive on it. So now we've got Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas wearing pajamas and reading a bedtime story. And then we've got 3 variants of Hair Bear from the Hair Bear bunch, whatever that is. So there's one where he's brown and has a blonde afro and an orange vest and a green tie. And the second one, he is blue and he has a like magenta afro with a purple vest and a yellow tie. And then there's one where he is purple with a black afro and a lighter shade of orange vest and a pink tie. Then we've got Malcolm Merlin from Arrow, a Chef Deadpool Dorbs, which is limited to 1,000 pieces, and a 6-inch pop vinyl of Doomsday from Batman vs. Superman. Then there's Cowboy Deadpool, Golden Freddy Fazbear from Five Nights at Freddy's, Bingo from the Hanna-Barbera cartoon Banana Splits, which is a Dorbs Rides, it's like a tank and it's got some sunglasses on it. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then another Banana Splits Dorbs Rides, which is Snorky, which is an elephant who has red sunglasses like Daredevil, and his vehicle basically looks the same except it's got different sunglasses and polka dots, and it's white. And then we've got a purple suit Catwoman, Rock Candy, the classic, what is that, like Silver Age Catwoman, I think.
She wears this in a Batman Brave and Bold.
Yeah. And then a 6-inch Gorilla Grodd Pop, a Game of Thrones 3-pack Dorbs with the White Walker, the Hound, and not just the Hound, not just like Sandor Clegane, but with his Hound helmet on, which is really cool. I'd really love to get a pop of that. And King Joffrey. No, King Joffrey, the Hound, and a White Walker. And then a Toy Tokyo exclusive Batman 66 Chrome Batmobile Pop Ride. Looks pretty cool. And then we've got Mag the Mighty, who is a wildling giant on Game of Thrones. A Pop 2-pack from Pete's Dragon. It's a 6-inch Elliot, who is see-through. Like he's clear plastic, because in the movie he can like turn invisible, or I don't know if it's invisibility or camouflage or what. I haven't seen that movie in like, I'm not even sure if I've ever seen that whole movie.
I haven't.
And then Elliot just is wearing some overalls. And then we've got an underwater Batman from the upcoming Suicide Squad film, and it's the same mold of Batman from the Batman vs. Superman pop, but he's got an underwater like rebreather on. Then we've got Patriotic Snoopy, which is just Snoopy, the beagle from the Peanuts, but he's got red and white stripes with blue ears, and I believe there are some stars on his ears. And then we've got Olivia Moore from iZombie. I haven't watched it. I'm hoping to get around to that soon. But I think she looks like the main character from the show. So I think it's a weird choice for them to have the main character SDCC exclusive pop. Like that seems like a weird choice to me.
Because those are supposed to be more like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like unique variants.
Exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, whatever. And then we've got a Dorbs of Stan Lee.
Excelsior.
And then a World of Pop Volume 5 book. And then we've got an X-Men 3-pack. Wolverine with his, like, classic brown costume with, like, the, like, eye horn things. And then Iceman and Colossus. Then Han Solo with Chewie's bowcaster. BB-8 with his little thumbs up. Indiana Jones with the golden idol from the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's awesome. And
Freddie Funko in his red buggy, which is a 500-piece limited edition. Now, let's back up a little bit. Indiana Jones does not have any pop vinyls. This is the first...
that's
first
very
time
true.
we've seen an
That's
indie pop vinyl, which, first of all, is pretty much a dead giveaway that we're getting at least a pop vinyl of Indiana Jones obviously without the idol.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we get more. I'd love to get like a short round. His dad, Shia LaBeouf.
I was gonna say Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, but yeah. So indie pops.
You get one of the Yatzee with his face melting.
Oh my gosh, that would be creepy. Then we've got the Purple Pie Man and Berry Bird from Strawberry Shortcake.
Okay.
I don't know anything about Strawberry Shortcake, but these guys look pretty evil to me.
Yeah. He's got the mustache going for him.
Yeah, but even the bird looks angry.
Yeah, I know, right? Angry Bird. This next one I'm excited about.
And these are scented pops, which the Strawberry Shortcake line, I'm not sure if they've come out in stores yet, but they were announced a while back, and they are scented, so that's cool. Then we've got some pop minis, a 3-pack of Harry Potter creatures, the Cornish Pixie, the Mandrake, and the Grindylow. Then there is Newt Scamander from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which again is a weird choice to put on here because so in this pop that they have, he's got his little briefcase, which is going to be really important in the movie, and he's got his wand in his other hand. Now, sure, they could have a pop where he's not wearing anything, where it's just him not holding his stuff. Did I say not wearing anything?
Yeah.
That's totally not what I meant. Where he's not holding anything in his hands. But I feel like if that was the case, it would say on the box, like, Newt Scamander with briefcase.
Yeah. Maybe these are the first in the lines, and they just came out with them.
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, so that's all that's all they've announced for now. Comic-Con is coming up. It's not next week, is it? I think it's the week after.
I'll look it up real quick.
Anyway, so there's still a few days before Comic-Con, so there actually could be more pops announced between now and then.
I hope so.
In which case, next week when we record, we will let you all know about it. Anyway, so the pops that I definitely have to get from San Diego Comic-Con. The False God Superman looks really cool. The Doctor Strange with the rune is awesome. The number one that I definitely have to get is Malcolm Merlin. I'm actually disappointed that they made that an SDCC exclusive because he's a really important character in the show. I feel like they could do like a variant of like a regular one of him like they have here, and then one with him in a League of Assassins costume, and they can make that the SDCC exclusive. But whatever. I mean, Malcolm Merlin I definitely have to get. I have a complete set of Arrow pops, so
nice.
I have to keep that going. The Doomsday pop, I don't really like his design, honestly. I mean, I didn't like his design in the movie, so it makes sense that I wouldn't like his design in pop vinyl form. Mag the Mighty, though, definitely going to get that one. As well as Gorilla Grodd, definitely need that. Underwater Batman, he looks kind of cool. I feel like if I'm getting the False God Superman, I should probably get Underwater Batman.
Yeah. I think Comic-Con is 2 weeks from now.
Okay. So
it starts July 20th.
Okay. BB-8 with thumbs up. Definitely getting that one. And then the Bowcaster and Indy with the Idol. Those are awesome. And probably New Scamander. I'd probably pick that one up. So, yeah, got a lot of pops to look forward to. Super excited. So the past few years, so I actually started collecting pop vinyls after Comic-Con last year. And so I didn't experience any of this, but Hot Topic and Barnes & Noble got shipments of SDCC exclusive pops to their stores. So not of every pop, but of certain ones. And so you can get some of the pops at the retailers without having to go to Comic-Con. They have little different stickers, so you'll know. Well, if you keep the boxes, you'll know that they have different stickers, so people will know that you didn't get it from SDCC, but it's all good to me.
Yeah.
The question just is, where are you going to put them?
That's a great question. Gonna have to build some shelves.
That, or you can make, you can have a man cave.
Yeah.
Just have full of your treasures.
Or kick Armando out of my room.
That too. Or just hide them under his bed.
I forgot to mention one because it's not on this list, but Fugitive Toys announced an exclusive of theirs, White Lantern Firestorm.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
so
nice.
there's a regular variant and then a glow-in-the-dark variant. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about some what's been going on in my personal life. So, as you guys heard last week, I was out of town because I went to Kentucky for reasons. So, while I was in Kentucky, I didn't do much. We watched a bunch of movies, and so we watched Independence Day, the original, the classic,
Welcome
never
to
gets
Earth.
old. Exactly. We watched the Purge in Election Day.
Is that the second one?
That's the third one.
Oh, third
The
one.
newest one.
Yeah. It was not good at all. My least favorite Purge movie.
Definitely. I love those movies, and that movie was very disappointing.
You like the Purge movies?
Yes, I love them. I was so excited to go see it, and then when I saw it, I was just so disappointed because it just wasn't good.
And then we watched the movie Marauders, which was really confusing. It was late at night, so I fell asleep during part of it. So that kind of speaks to how uninteresting it was to me. I don't know. It just didn't really hook me. And then we watched the movie The Shallows with Blake Lively, which was not good.
I
Oh,
liked
really?
it. I liked it.
You did?
It was... It might be the most predictable movie I've ever seen. I
feel
knew...
like every movie's predictable. Though, to some
I knew
point.
from the very beginning how it was going to end, and before everything happened, I just knew what was going to happen next, because it was just really, it was a lame Jaws ripoff, and the trailer told me everything I needed to see, but it was put on without my consent, and I didn't have anything else to do, so I just watched it. And then we watched Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, which is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good movie.
I haven't seen the original Hellboy in a long time. I wish I would have gotten to watch that first, but it was on TV. So
okay.
I
it
still
was-
haven't seen the first
Both
one.
are really
I wish
good.
I
Both
did.
are really good.
No, yeah, I know.
I say the second one deals a lot more with the fantasy aspects. It expands the world of fantasy.
Yeah.
But both are great movies.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's like
I think out of that list, Independence Day and Hellboy 2 were the best ones.
yeah, definitely. But anyway, so Kentucky, what was the name of the town?
Peonia.
Peonia, Kentucky. Is about 15-hour drive from Houston with, stopping for meals and frequent bathroom breaks.
You never learned how to pee in a bottle?
No, I have a small bladder.
But anyway, so
Kidney squeeze.
we were in the car for a long time, so we listened to an audiobook. So that means that for the first time on the show, we're going to have a book review. So we listened to the book Divergent, and I did not like it.
You didn't like it?
No.
I liked it better than the movie.
Actually, sit next to him.
I thought it was better than the movie. I wish I would have read it first before I watched the movie, because the love scenes were so much better in the book,
Of course you would say that.
which was his least favorite part. Every time a love scene came on, he had to just cringe and look at me.
Because it was super lame. It was really unimportant to the story. The story was not that good. It was okay, I'm just going to spoil this book. So the book is about this girl named Beatrice, and she lives in the former city of Chicago, where everything has been split into 5 factions based on different ideals held by the people in the faction. So I don't remember the names of the factions. There's
She was from Abnegation.
abnegation. So the abnegation favors selflessness, candor favors honesty, the amity favor kindness, erudite favor knowledge, and the dauntless favor bravery. And so the story, so when you turn 16, you take this test and they tell you which faction you belong in, and then you can either move to that faction. So you're born into a faction, and then you can either choose to be in that faction or choose to move to a different faction, and there's initiation ceremonies, or you have to take a test to be inducted into the faction. And so Beatrice is born into abnegation, but she decides to choose the dauntless because she's dumb and angsty. So she goes.
16.
So she goes there. She jumps off a building into a hole, and she lives because there's a net. And then she gets some tattoos, and she is angry at everybody, and she does a lot of tests, and she falls in love with this guy named Four.
You forgot the whole purpose of the movie.
First of all, it wasn't a movie; it was a book.
Okay, I'm sorry, the book. The divergent part.
Oh yeah,
That's the whole point of the book.
I guess.
Are you explaining that, or am I explaining that?
So when you take your aptitude test, which tells you which faction you should be in, Beatrice discovers that she's divergent, which means that she could belong to any of the factions. Well, she could belong to multiple factions, which is really dumb because the idea that your mind can only work based on one of those 5 values is just asinine, because any normal, well-adjusted person has all of those virtues and more that constitute that you take into account when making any decision that you make. The idea that you would only be selfless when making a decision is dumb. That you would only consider what makes you brave is dumb. It's not a good setup for a plot. Anyway, so she's divergent, which means that she can do things that they don't really explain in the book. Then at the end of the movie, or the book, the erudite decide they are tired of abnegation, so they take over the minds of the dauntless and use them as soldiers and start executing the abnegation. And Beatrice and Four, who's also divergent, spoilers, they stop the erudite and destroy the information or something.
Basically, they don't like the abnegation because they're the government. And the majority of abnegation people are actually divergent. And so they don't want them to be ruling over them. That's why they start a war. Because they want to rule. Just thought I'd put that in there.
So anyway, I don't know. It just... So at the end of the book, basically there are no... So the majority of the book is Beatrice doing the Dauntless initiation tests. But at the end of the book, she becomes factionless because the Dauntless are, the Dauntless leaders are bad guys. The majority of the people of Dauntless are innocent, but she leaves the Dauntless faction after she had been initiated because they're bad guys. So basically the entire plot of the book was irrelevant because in the end none of it matters because she's not Dauntless anymore.
But it had to show what Dauntless was about because they're the bad
I
guys.
get that, but I feel like all of that could have been condensed to make a much shorter story and put at the beginning, and then she could have done the whole war thing and then combined the Divergent book with Insurgent to make one slightly longer book.
I don't know, because I feel like her time in Dauntless was she wouldn't have been able to leave her faction and realize how brave and strong she was unless she was in that. Because she was had to be kept to herself because abnegation, they are all selfless, so they could not even allowed to look in the mirror, think about themselves or their abilities or anything about themselves.
Well, they're not supposed to.
Yeah, so if she wouldn't have gone to Dauntless, she wouldn't have been able to see the strengths she had and know that she had the ability to leave and
I disagree.
help people. Well, agree to disagree.
Anyway, so that's the book. I haven't watched the movie yet. I probably will later. And I'll probably get talked into listening to Insurgent at some point. So, yeah. But
that's going to happen.
That's Divergent. I'm sorry to crush all teenage girls who are listening. I'm sorry to stomp all over your favorite book series, but...
It's never stopped them before.
That's true.
Look at Twilight.
Exactly.
I read all those.
I did too. I will say that.
I've seen all the movies, but I never read any of the books.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Okay, so then, in the meantime, since the last time we recorded, I beat Super Metroid.
Oh, nice.
So I talked on episode 2 about Metroid Zero Mission, or maybe it was episode 1. No, I can't remember.
That was like 3 months
I'm
ago.
pretty sure it was episode 2,
We've been
which
doing
was
this thing for 3 months.
I know, it's crazy. Pretty sure it was episode 2, which was the bad audio recording.
Yeah.
I apologize. And so Super Metroid is the Super Nintendo game, so it came long before Metroid Zero Mission, which was for the GBA. And basically, they're very, very similar, but Metroid Zero Mission is, because it's a newer game, they refined a lot of things. So overall, I enjoyed Super Metroid, but my main complaints are the map in that game is terrible because it doesn't show you how rooms are connected, only where one room ends and the other room begins. So you can get to where you think the room is going to end, but there's no door there, and you have to go somewhere completely different to get to it, to the other room where you're trying to go. So that's really annoying. And then the other thing is that in Zero Mission, when you look on the map, in each sector of the map, it'll tell you how many of each power-up you have left to find. In Super Metroid, it doesn't do that, and that was really disappointing because in Zero Mission, that was a super helpful tool to help me make sure I found everything. So in Super Metroid, I was really disappointed that feature was not there. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm not sure how long it took me to beat it. I want to say maybe 10, 12 hours, something like that. So really not that long of a game. And I was going for 100%. So if you're just trying to beat it as fast as possible, you'd probably make it 5 or 6 hours, I'd say. So, yep. And then after I beat that, I played a little bit of Wii Sports Resort to kind of just chill out, relax. So Wii Sports Resort is a super fun game. I won't talk about it too much, but basically it's a collection of mini games set on Woohoo Island, which is a vacation resort where Miis go to vacation. And there's a bunch of different sports. There's like sword fighting, frisbee, golf, bowling, canoeing, skydiving, flying a plane around the island, a bunch of different ones. And yeah, that game is super fun. So I just like to go back to it every once in a while to, well, first of all, just, enjoy myself. And then also you can collect, you can collect stamps, which are basically the equivalent of achievements in an Xbox game. They're just little rewards for completing or playing the game in a certain way. So I like to go back and try and get some of those every once in a while. And yeah, so I just played that for 2 or 3 hours and it was good fun. Then last night I started Lego Marvel Superheroes, which is a really fun game. I only played the first level and got to the beginning of the second level, so I only played for like an hour. The Lego games, if you don't know, are based on different franchises. So there's Lego Star Wars, Lego Batman, Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, Lego Marvel,
Lego Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Anything can be Lego.
Yeah,
much.
Really. They only have one original game, which is Lego City Undercover, and a 3DS version called Lego City Undercover: The Chase Begins. So there's the main game with like the story and everything, and then after you beat the main levels, you go back to try and collect everything in the levels. So there's a bunch of different objectives and things to collect. And yeah, Lego games are super fun. They're really fun for me because I just like finding and exploring and collecting. The only downside to them is that they tend to be pretty long because they really like jam pack the levels with stuff to find. So they're usually like 25 or 30 hour games. So that's a bit of a downside because I don't have that much time to play games, but I still enjoy them. Then in the meantime, on the TV side of things, I caught up on Arrow, so I finished season 4.
How was it?
It was okay.
Really?
I think I liked season 4 a little better than season 3.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really like season 3.
See, I actually liked season 3. I know a lot of people say that's when this, started going down.
Yeah.
Granted, I stopped at season 3. I haven't seen season 4, but I thought overall it was pretty good.
Mm.
Arrow isn't my favorite show, but I still think it's good.
Yeah. And then last night, when I was playing Lego Marvel Superheroes, I started DC Legends of Tomorrow. I only watched the first episode. I won't talk about it because I don't really have full impression yet. Like, the pilot was a 2-part episode, and I only watched half of it because it got late, and I had to go to bed and stuff. But so far, it seems like there's potential, and that's all I'll say about it for now. So look forward to hearing more about it in the future.
From you.
Yeah.
From you.
You can watch it.
I can, but I already have so much to watch right now.
First world problems.
Granted, though, I'm almost done with Futurama, though. I just have 4 more seasons, and that's like nothing. I'm serious. In 2 weeks, I've watched 6 seasons of Futurama. Technically 5 seasons, but the episode 1 of season 6 is like a movie, so that's my life.
All right, so now let's talk about the movie Whiplash.
Say it again.
Whiplash.
You suck.
Why do you say that,
I
Brandon?
hate you so much.
Why do you hurt me in this way? What did I ever do to you?
I want you to say that in your vows to Robyn.
No.
Just like start making like and then just like a bunch of other like really weird eccentricities.
Anyway, so where do you want to start with Whiplash?
What did you guys think? Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I liked it.
Wow, that was an overwhelmingly positive response from Robyn.
I don't like how it ended. Because I felt like it all just came like to an ending so fast, and I was just like, what? Like, am I allowed to spoil, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, they just have this moment that's, like, unsaid. Like, what's the director's name? Not the director, the teacher's name? Anyone? Okay, well, the teacher and him have this, like, unsaid moment where he has respect for him. Like, that's great and everything, but it happened so fast and then just ended. And I was like, that's all I get? I don't get to see what happens next? I don't know.
You have to wait for Whiplash 2.
Terrence Fletcher, that's his name. Terrence Fletcher. Did you say Whiplash 2?
Yeah.
I don't know, I just felt like it came to a sudden end.
Yeah, I didn't like the ending either. Not because it was sudden, but I don't feel like that moment of respect that they share with each other, I don't feel like they really earned it.
You see, I can see why you guys say that, but I disagree. For me, they both have such a great passion for music that's the only thing that will give them that type of respect, and they'll be able to look at each other with that type of respect. Because anything else, they just despise each other. It's just when they're in that moment and they're actually, they don't have their own individuality, they commit it into the art of music, is when they can see this is where we're alike. So I think in that moment, that's when they're able to look at each other with that same level of respect for each other. It doesn't mean that they like each other, but they know like they both have the potential to create, greatness in art.
I guess. Anyway, so let's back away from the end. We
started with the end. Never mind.
So, all right. So if you're listening to this and you didn't watch the movie,
shame on you.
Yeah, for real. But I can't stop you. It's your choice. So let's go ahead and talk about the plot.
Okay.
So main character is played by Miles Teller. His name is Andrew.
Yeah.
Whatever his last name is. And he is a first-year student drummer at the Schaefer Conservatory of Music, or Music Conservatory of Music. And so he's in like their like middle jazz ensemble or whatever. And he gets recruited by J.K. Simmons' character, Terrence Fletcher, who is a super passionate. He's definitely passionate, but he's also super intimidating, super demanding, super intense director.
Abusive.
Yeah, very abusive.
I think that's the word that sums up. He's very abusive.
Yeah. And he is the conductor for their top jazz ensemble. And so he gets recruited, and he eventually takes the place of their core drummer, after a mishap, which is something that really bothered me, and I know it really bothered you too, is that, so they go to Andrew goes to their first competition as the alternate in the band, and in between their set, the core drummer gives him the binder with the music to hold on to, and Andrew sets it down for a second for whatever reason, instead of just tugging it under his arm like a normal person would do. He sets it down on a chair, and then he turns around to buy a Coke. And then when he turns back, and then the core drummer comes up and he's like, "Hey, where's the binder?" And Andrew turns around to grab it and it's gone. And they never explain what happens to it.
That is true. That is very true.
My thought is that I think the the teacher did it.
See, I think that's a reasonable assumption.
But it's like, it's one of those things in the film where you need to make the assumption.
Right.
It's up to you. It's
right.
entirely relative.
Also, like, is he a ninja? Like, how did he come up without making any noise? And
I mean, he dresses in all black. So, I mean, maybe that's part of it.
Anyway, so before that, so he gets recruited to the top band, and this is probably my favorite scene in the movie. So Andrew shows up for his first day of practice with his new band, and he gets his chance to do the drums, playing the song Whiplash, which is why they call the movie Whiplash. And he's doing the beats, and Fletcher stops him and he's like, "You're a little slow, so just try it again." So he starts doing it again. He's like, "Oh, you're rushing that time, try it again." He's like, "Oh, you're slow that time, try it again." And then after that, Fletcher flips out. He goes nuts. Right? And so he starts slapping him, like literally like slapping him in the face to prove the point about rushing and dragging. He throws a cymbal, or no, what is it, a chair at his head? A chair, that's when he first flips out. And one of my favorite lines, so first he starts crying, right? Oh, wait. Okay. I'm really bad at telling stories. I don't know if that's become evident on the show or not, but so before he sits down on the drums, Fletcher is talking to Andrew in the hallway, and he's telling him about, his family life, about how his mom left when he was a little kid, how his dad wants to be a writer, but he's not good enough. He just teaches high school. And,
it seems that Fletcher's connecting with him on that.
Right. And so then he uses that information against him after he's chastising Andrew about that. Andrew starts crying, and then Fletcher starts making fun of him for it, and he's like, "Are you upset?" And
he's like, yes. Are you like one of those one-tier criers?
He's like, "Are you upset?" And he says, "Yes." And he says, "Okay, we'll tell the class that." And he makes him yell it. And so one of my favorite lines in the movie is he yells at him like something really insulting, and he says, "So for the final father effing time, are you upset?" And he screams at the top of his lungs, "Yes, I'm upset." And it's just like, oh my gosh, how does anyone put up with this?
If you had to tell me to use like single words to sum up this movie, I would say tense. Because that first scene, I was so tense. Just the acting is so brilliant that I was just literally just uncomfortable just watching that scene.
Yeah, so let's talk about the people in this movie. So there's Miles Teller, where I talked about, and I think he does a good job.
I think he did a really good job, especially because you see how he's just constantly changing throughout the movie. He starts like, I don't want to say the word innocent, but for the most part, for how it is in the situation, he's very innocent, and you see how he's slowly like degrading,
but Fletcher totally rubs off on him, and it starts affecting his relationship with Melissa Benoist, aka Supergirl.
Yeah. That is her.
Yeah.
Oh, that agitated me so much when he was like telling her he had to break up with her.
Yeah.
I was just like, you are turning into a terrible person, just like who the teacher is.
Yeah. So it affects his relationships. He becomes a dick to the other two drummers in the band, and later on in the movie, he gets in a car accident trying to get to a competition, and he just runs away from the accident because all he can think about is getting there so he can play the drums, which he tries to do and can't because he was in a car accident. And yeah.
Well, I just got upset after he came in there like that, and obviously that wasn't rational. But then the teacher was still like terrible to him when he's like bleeding everywhere, and he gets mad at him for being like hurt. It just agitated me. I was like, you're gonna make him make him quit from the band or like fire him from the band when he's clearly like extremely hurt and he didn't even ask or like worry about him. He was just mad at him. That agitated me.
Ruined their chances of the competition because he was so badly injured, but he didn't care. He just let his pride get in the way and wanted to play the song because he thought it was his.
I guess that's true. I just felt like there should have been some compassion there for him.
Well, he didn't scream at him. All he did was come up and said in a very calm, level-headed voice, which was uncharacteristic for Fletcher. He just says, "You're done."
I guess that's true.
Which is fair. I think that's totally fair. Anyway, so after that happens, Andrew tackles Fletcher. He starts beating the crap out of him. He gets dragged off of him by police. He says F you a bunch of times. And he is expelled from the Schaefer Conservatory. And then a lawyer comes to him with a class action lawsuit, I guess, saying they want to get Fletcher fired because of his abusive treatment of his students. And Andrew, he testifies against him, and
anonymously.
Yeah, and Fletcher gets fired. So then later on, Andrew gives up music. He becomes a sandwich maker at a sandwich shop. And so one night he's walking down the street, eating some pizza. He walks past a jazz bar, and he sees that Fletcher is conducting a jazz band.
He's actually playing in it.
Yeah. He's playing piano in the jazz band. And
that's like one of the few times you ever see Fletcher like calm and peaceful.
Yeah.
It's just like when he's out on stage playing music.
Yeah. So he goes inside out of morbid curiosity, and Fletcher sees him, and they end up having a drink, which I should note, he was underage at that point. So I don't know how he was drinking alcohol, but
you know Fletcher don't give a damn. He probably bought 2 drinks and just gave him.
So anyway, the two of them have a little bonding moment.
Yeah, that's also one of my favorite moments of the movie when they're having that. Even after all the bad stuff that's happened, they're able to like sit down and talk.
Yeah.
Except it was really just like. Sorry. Continue.
So. Well, I'm getting there.
He's getting there.
Whatever. I was gonna talk about that scene, but go ahead. Go. Yeah.
So as they're leaving, Fletcher says to him that he is conducting ensemble for a jazz festival in the city coming up soon. And so he says that the drummer that he has isn't good enough, and he wants Andrew to play for him. And Andrew's kind of hesitant, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know." And but he decides to do it in the end. And so they get to the show. They're opening for the concert or the music festival, and they get out on stage. And Andrew's looking around. Oh, so before that, when Fletcher's telling him about the show, he says that they're playing their old music set from Schaefer. And so they get to the show. Andrew sits down. He reaches to get out his music. He looks across from him, and he realizes that everyone else has different songs than the ones he has. And Fletcher walks up to him and says, "You think I didn't know it was you?" And he just walks up and he gives his little speech, and then they start playing, and Andrew's totally lost because he doesn't have the music, so he doesn't know what to play. And so he just totally ruins the song. And Fletcher walks back to him, and what did he say to him? He's like, I don't know. But anyway.
I don't know what Fletcher says to Andrew?
Yeah.
After he says, "I knew it was you."
Yeah.
I don't think he says anything. I think Andrew just walks off at that point.
Yeah. So he realizes he got screwed over. One of the biggest screw overs in the history of movies.
I think so, definitely, yeah.
Just such a dick move.
Yeah.
And so he's walking away. His dad comes to, console him. But then Andrew turns around. He's like, "No, I'm not going to let this asshole get the best of me." And so he sits back down on the drums, and he starts playing the song Caravan, which they played for Schaefer. This is one of the things that bothered me for the movie. Just a minor little nitpick is that they played Caravan for the last song, not Whiplash, since the movie was called Whiplash. And I thought the song Whiplash was really good, a lot more enjoyable than Caravan. I think the reason they picked Caravan is because it's a lot longer of a song than Whiplash. I was actually listening to the soundtrack when I was at work today. Whiplash is a little less than 2 minutes long, and Caravan is over 9 minutes long.
Yeah, so you see like where that whole segment in the movie went.
So anyway, so he starts playing Caravan, and Fletcher decides that it's pointless to try to get him to stop. Because he's like, give him the evil eye, but he just keeps going.
And then Andrew's able to get the band to like back him up with it too.
So they play the whole song, and then as the song ends, Andrew keeps going, like on this long, crazy solo, and he's playing super fast, which is what Fletcher really wanted him to do all along, double time swing. And that's when they have this moment that we talked about before, where it just shows their eyes, and you can see this.
That's when it transcends the words. That's just when basically it's just on the facial expression of the actor.
Yeah, which I did like that they didn't use any words. There was no expression of commiseration between them, that they did it with just their eyes. I think that's really powerful. I still don't think they earned it, but whatever. Anyway, so Fletcher gives him this smile, like, I see you, bro. And then the song ends, and that's the end of the movie. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to describe how really amazing, powerful, just raw emotion is in this movie. J.K. Simmons he steals the show.
He was the star of the show, I'd say.
Definitely.
And I remember the director, when he was talking to J.K. Simmons, that he wanted him to play, like, when you're on film, don't play a human, play a gargoyle, play somebody that's not even human, because we don't want anybody to like you. Yeah,
he's basically like J. Jonah Jameson, just but like
worse
to the 10th degree.
Yeah. And I know I was reading some things when they would cut the scene and they're off camera, he would feel so bad to the actors, and he would go up to them and say, like, you guys are okay, and you're all good. And Fletcher had some of the greatest quotes in that movie.
Another part I was confused about, though, was when they, when he came into the classroom and he was crying because he found out one of his students died, and he lied about how he died.
Yeah.
Because my guess would be he was embarrassed that he made someone kill themselves. But then I was just confused if he was so upset about it and so embarrassed that he had to lie about it. Like, nothing in his character changed at all. He still was, like, terrible to the students, even after one of his students killed himself because of what he had done to him.
Yeah.
So that kind of was just, like, confusing when they show him break down about it, and then he just goes back to how he was.
Yeah. That is a good point. But, I mean, this is me kind of putting words in the character's mouth, but I would guess that he feels that, because, in the scene in the bar between Andrew and Fletcher, he tells them about how he pushes his students because he thinks that's the only way to make someone live up to their full potential. And so I feel like he thinks that the benefits outweigh the risks. Because, he must have had, hundreds or thousands of students throughout his career, and if only one of them killed themselves, yes, that's terrible, but, he could make the argument that if he's made truly great musicians, that it was worth it. I don't know. I don't agree with that philosophy necessarily, but I could see him making that argument. Mm-hmm. One more thing I wanted to bring up with the movie, and then I guess we might be done with it, is the dinner scene between Andrew and the rest of his family. So it's Andrew and his dad, and I'm guessing his uncle and his aunt and two of his cousins, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So they're all kind of bragging about what they've accomplished, and Andrew, I think objectively has the most accomplished, but because one of them is a football star and the other one did UN or Model UN, something like that.
Something like
that. I guess they consider that, even
bigger accomplishments.
Yeah. And so Andrew's dad, for whatever reason, takes the other kid's side. Mm-hmm. Andrew says something about his one cousin never making it to the NFL. And Andrew's dad kind of retorts back like, oh, are you ever going to make it into, what does he say, like the orchestra or something like that, some big musical ensemble. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was really out of character for his dad, because other than that, he's like a super nice, super supportive, really friendly dad. And granted, he doesn't do much in the movie. Like, he's only in a few scenes and he doesn't have a whole ton of lines. But that one scene just really didn't sit well with me. Like, it didn't make any sense.
Maybe he was embarrassed because he sees how I'm assuming the uncle is the dad's brother.
Yeah.
He sees how gets picture perfect his life is, and his life hasn't gone that great. His wife left him. He hasn't been able to pursue his dreams or whatnot. Sure, his son is in music school, but
I agree. That bothered me too when I saw that.
I don't know. I definitely agree with you guys. But I kind of like when I saw that scene. Also, like for some reason for me, it connected to the scene later on in the bar when Fletcher says there are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job. Because you see how the two cousins they're just like built on praise.
Right.
And Fletcher doesn't give out praise.
Right.
And for him, when he thinks that once you're told good job, that's it. Like you've achieved your potential. There's no other, higher you can go beyond that. And it's kind of a true thing, and at the same time, it's not. It's like one of those things that it depends on how you see it, because there's some truth to it, but it's not an objective truth to it as well.
Yeah.
So
that might be more suited for a parenting podcast than for what we're trying to go for here. Okay, so let's move on to some emails. And by some emails, I mean a bunch of emails. Okay, so first we have an email about Whiplash from one Catherine Correjo. And she says, "That's a dank-ass movie." Which I totally agree with.
Is she saying that in a good way or a bad way?
Leave it up to the viewers, listeners' imagination. So next we have a question from Susie. She says, "Dear Alex and Brandon, I'm trying to get caught up on your podcast, so if someone has somehow asked this before me, I'm sorry, in parentheses, and surprised. So my question is, if you suddenly had to save the world and you were given your own signature weapon or weapons if you're the dual wielding type, what weapon would it be and what would you name it? This could also include your armor if you like. Thanks again for entertaining me while I work on knitting and chainmail. Susie." This is a super easy question for me. Definitely Blades of Chaos.
Damn, I was going to say, because she said dual wielding.
Yeah, Blades of Chaos are super versatile. They can do tons of things, and they're just really awesome. So,
okay, so if I had to pick my weapon and I could also choose with armor, what would I pick? Oh, man.
Iron Man.
I could. You know what? Okay. Did you ever watch the movie Spawn?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I would want Spawn's hell suit. And then basically what happens is Spawn was originally a human and he got sent to hell, and he made a pact with
basically it's like Kratos.
Yeah.
Actually, fun fact, there's a death battle between Kratos and Spawn.
Who wins though?
Spawn.
Oh, okay. So he makes a pact with hell and he comes back and he realizes the mistake he's made, but basically he's infused with the powers of hell and darkness. And that sounds really nerdy and whatnot, but he can do basically anything with his
It's a really good bad movie.
Yeah, it really is.
Like there's a lot of potential there.
They're talking about like rebooting it, which they really should.
I can't wait. They've been talking about it for like a decade though.
And he has like so much power within his suit and his cape and everything, and he basically can like control the dead and the army. It's just such a cool.
It's kind of like Venom almost.
It's like mixture between actually like Ghost Rider, Venom, and Kratos.
Very similar.
You have to like mix the three. So I would choose Spawn's suit.
A Red Lantern power ring would also be a really good choice.
That would be a good one, yeah.
Robyn, do you have an answer?
Well, I don't know if this would count as a weapon or like armor. I would personally like to have the blanket from Harry Potter where you're invisible, so then I can just run away and then
there
no one
the blanket?
You know the blanket?
The cloak?
Yeah, the cloak. It looks like a blanket. And you put it over you, and then you have to run away, and then no one's gonna bother me.
Yeah, that always bothered me is because in the books it makes it sound like it's an actual cloak, like a cape you wear and then you put on the hood and you're invisible. But in the movies, like it's like a blanket. You just like put it over yourself like you do when you're a kid and you pretend you're a ghost. I don't know.
I just hide behind the couch. No one will ever see me.
I do have one more. The Iron Spider suit. I would definitely want to do that.
It's like Iron Man, but with more arms.
That's true. And of course an Iron Man suit. Who wouldn't want that?
Okay, so now we have a series of emails from Miss Kenzie Key.
Who's actually in the room right now. Do you want to say hi, Kenzie?
Hello. I'm privileged to be here for the reading of my emails.
Okay. So it says, "Hello, podcast man." I'm seeing because I personally call her out. I'll read this one. You can read the other ones because I know you like that show. This is my first email. Okay, hello, podcast man. What? This is my first email. I hope you're proud and no longer upset that it took me so long to type up an email rather than text you or tell you in person how great the podcast is or what I like. So here I go, an email signed the girl Brandon said was dead to him. Okay.
You did say that.
I did say that.
So now, next one is titled Silly Question. Hey there, I have a silly question. I grew up with my brother playing Legend of Zelda and listening to the game music as we drove around town. I get who Link is, but who is Zelda? Now I know that this question could be answered by a Google search, but I rather hear it from friends than Google. So let me know. Signed, Silly Questioner. So Zelda is the princess of the land of Hyrule. Her father is the king of Hyrule, and she has no siblings, so she is heir to the throne. And she's also the holder of the Triforce of Wisdom in the majority of the games in which Zelda appears. That's basically all you need to know. There's, a few other things, but they're kind of spoilery. So just for basic Zelda information, that is her character. You have anything to add?
Zelda is a chick.
Yes, that is actually really important because Link is not Zelda and Zelda is not Link.
Yeah.
So next one is titled Fanfic Fights. She says, winner, chicken dinner of episode 14's FFF, aka Kevin segment, is definitely Scrooge McDuck. I know I'm late on this one, but I wanted to offer my 2 cents. Haha, puns. Signed, she who loved DuckTales growing up. So that's 2 votes for me and 0 for Mr. Burns. Next one is titled Idea. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. I have a FFF Kevin segment idea. Prepare to be amazed. And it is
Legolas versus Gimli.
They are some of my favorite best friends, but what would have happened if the elf versus dwarf
animosity overpowered them?
Yeah.
Signed wannabe Hobbit.
Okay, I'm reading, not you.
See, this is exactly something I want to point out. He gets really salty if somebody tries to take his limelight.
Yep. So we will keep that fanfic fights in our back pocket and
what the?
Yeah. So this next email is titled Kindness. Hey, this is kind of an awkward one, but maybe you should not alienate your listeners by calling them out by name or yelling at them for the fact that they haven't emailed you. Sometimes it takes time. # deal with it. Signed, a faithful, parentheses, and slightly offended listener. That one's on you.
You're partly responsible for this as well.
I can't control what you say.
Also, I do not yell.
Are you kidding me? That's like half of the talking that you do on
that
the
is
show.
That is not yelling.
What is yelling then?
You haven't seen yelling yet.
Okay.
It is true. When I listen to the podcast, I have to turn down the volume and turn it up for whose voice it is because Brandon's so loud.
So we need 2 mics.
I don't have money for that.
I didn't say that. Okay, moving on. Next one is titled FFF Ep 15. I definitely think Frozone, aka Emily, was the winner of the last FFF Kevin segment. BC awesome argument. The end. Signed, fan of The Incredibles. Well, we can't argue with the listeners.
We can argue with the listeners.
No, we can disagree, but we can't argue. They're entitled to their opinions.
I'm not saying anything about your opinions.
But on the record, I do 100% disagree with that.
Okay, we're in agreement for that.
Okay, so the next email is titled Quiz Show. She says, Y'all, I love the quiz show segment from the last podcast. Do it again and invite me because that was so much fun, even for those of us guessing at home. Signed, movie non-expert but fan.
Not happening.
I agree. I thought it was really fun to listen to. And I wish I was there to yell because there was some that I was waiting on and I knew the answer to, but I couldn't.
Like what?
Say it. The Sisterhood of Traveling Pants, come on. I knew that before Emily even said it. I was like, it took me 2 seconds to realize what that was. Just putting that out there.
Congratulations.
Next one is titled Lanterns. She says, also, I love the segment of talking would-be actors for the upcoming Green Lantern movie. It was fun to hear the more eccentric opinions and the arguments over what and why and who. I wish I had some suggestions of my own to offer, but alas, no. Signed, not so aware of comics, but entertained by listening.
You mean like how you said Bill Cosby for Jon Stewart? Easily one of the worst things I've ever heard in my life for casting.
You're welcome.
Talk about you get the ring right here, and you're talking about how it's gonna be with Brad is black as day. And I'll stop being obnoxious now. I'm just reading the title of the email, okay? Calm your tits.
She says, Dear Alex and Brandon, sorry not sorry for my barrage of obnoxious emails, just trying to make up for lost time and disappointing y'all. In all honesty, I really enjoy listening to the podcast. Alex, your focus and Brandon's banter complement each other very well. Though I know precious little about most of the things y'all talk about, you always keep it interesting enough to hold my attention. The music is awesome and takes me back to my childhood with my older brother who played nothing else in the car. The different segments keep it fresh, and I really like the play on your podcast's name with the ABCs of Geekdom. Keep up the great work. You can count on me to keep on listening. With affection, your friend, Kenzie. So, thank you for writing in, Kenzie. We really enjoyed hearing all of your feedback. Well, most of your feedback. But
I feel like she only picked Frozen because it's, Incredibles. And
it's possible.
It's just because she just picked for the girl vote.
Only one I knew.
Okay, no, Mr. Freeze. That's booty.
Right.
So if you want to send us one or more emails, you can send us those questions to abcpodcast92@gmail.com. And now we will move into our fanfic fights segment, aka the Kevin segment. Our first three-way fanfic fight, so that's going to be interesting. And this week, we have not a battle of strength or wits. We have a battle of the restaurateurs. We have Bob Belcher from Bob's Burgers versus Mo Sizlak from The Simpsons and Mr. Eugene Krabs from SpongeBob SquarePants. So, ladies first. Robyn, you get to pick.
Obviously Bob from Bob's Burgers.
Shocker. You want rock, paper, scissors?
Sure.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I could go... Okay, so what are the criteria for this?
Who operates a better place to go hang out?
Mr. Krabs.
Okay.
Okay.
Who's first? Me? Me go first. So, where do I start? It's the best restaurant, the best operator. So, obviously, you can always be entertained in Bob's Burgers because he always has a new type of burger and they're always punny and it's just great. Clearly, that's great entertainment as you go in there. So, that's one. Obviously, there's little kids who have a very weird sense of humor. They're working with him, his children, so who cannot be entertained by them as well? So that's just another reason to go there. So you can see Weird Tina talk about butts. That's pretty entertaining. Who doesn't love burgers also? American food. Come on now. Everyone loves burgers. What else can I say? Also, you want to hear Linda sing. Let's be real. She's always singing. So there's plenty of entertainment. And if you want to go for the best restaurant, not only are you getting amazing burgers, but you're getting entertainment in all different types of ways. So obviously Bob would win this.
So I say personally that Eugene Krabs is the best of the three because, first of all, he is a very savvy, responsible entrepreneur who knows how to run a business properly. He knows how to handle money. He knows how to make money. He knows how to various times spend money, but that's only on the necessities. And the thing is, everybody comes back to his restaurant no matter what because everybody loves the Krabby Patty because he knows how to sell his product properly. That's why everybody always wants to come to the Krabby Patty. I mean, the Krusty Krab. That's why they want to come to the Krusty Krab. Now, he doesn't have the same advantage as maybe Bob does with his little squad of his family. Because, I mean, nobody really wants to hang out with Squidward. Because why would anybody want to hang out with Squidward? Maybe they want to hang out with SpongeBob, which is a library option. But he's working in the kitchen to make you all the food. So, despite that, everybody can enjoy the Krabby Patty because when they go to the restaurant, they want to focus on the food to eat because the Krabby Patty is just that good. So not only does he know how to properly sell his product, he knows how to manage his restaurant. He knows how to keep it successful and running. And that's why it's been around for so long. Yeah, you can credit that for why SpongeBob is still going on for the Krabby Patty. So Mr. Krabs knows how to make a properly better establishment for his product.
Can I comment?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
So, Mo Sislak is the owner and operator of Mo's Tavern, the favorite hangout of Homer Simpson and Carl and Lenny and Barney. Actually, it's mostly just them. But the reason that you want to go to Mo's is because there's cheap beer, great atmosphere to hang out and drink and forget your troubles. And there's Mo, who's always there with his bright, chipper attitude, always ready to serve his loyal customers and do whatever it takes to make them happy. But most importantly, what Mo's Tavern has over the other two is alcohol. And that's basically all you need to have a better time at a restaurant. So I think that wins right there. Another thing that Mo has over his two competitors here is that Bob's Burgers is across the street from Jimmy Pesto's restaurant, who's constantly trying to put him out of business. The Belchers basically live from month to month trying to scrape together their rent and trying to keep their restaurant open, which could close at almost any time. And Mr. Krabs is constantly being assaulted by Plankton, who's trying to steal his secret recipe for the Krabby Patty. And if Plankton were to ever succeed, he would surely put the Krabby Patty the Krusty Krab out of business. So that would just leave Mo there, victorious, drinking all the time. So, yeah, Mo is a pretty clear winner here.
Well, to counter that, I would have to say the fact that they have two competitors for both the Krusty Krab and for Bob's Burgers shows that they must be really great if people are competing with them all the time. When the tavern doesn't have anyone competing, so that means that it must not be that great if, no one wants to win them over. Also, with the Krusty Krab, who wants a soggy burger? They're in the middle of the ocean, the burger has to be soggy. So clearly the burgers cannot be better. So I'm just
Fred the fish would disagree with you.
Well, Fred the fish isn't here. Also, another point I thought of is the tavern does lose business because children can't be in a tavern and drink. So where are the children supposed to get their food in the tavern?
Homer has brought his children to the tavern multiple times.
So you're condoning alcoholism for children?
No.
Because Bart doesn't drink at the tavern.
Well,
also,
most children
you want to talk about my burgers? Okay, Bob's Burgers is right next to a funeral house. And this entire episode centered when they're thinking that the burger was made out of dead people.
But it's clearly not, so.
I'm just saying, also compared with Moe's, he's gone out of business many times, and he's had to struggle to come back. It's only at the very end of the episode does he come back into business.
But he always bounces back.
And it's talking about how Plankton stealing the formula would run him out of business. In the movie, he does steal the formula. But guess what? Plankton never wins, and the Krusty Krab comes back into business. Now, not to mention that, in the movie, there are two Krusty Krabs, because they need to, make two of them to handle so much business.
And clearly, if the tavern's going out of business and they don't even have competition, they must not really be that great.
And plus, many times it's been said the beer is watery. The little egg things he has in the jar, the pickled eggs, those things are expired. I think something hatched out of them one time. No
one ever complains about Bob's Burgers. They have great burgers. I would go there if I was a cartoon, but I'm not, so can't really do that. Just gonna put that out there. And we even think it's so great we dressed up as them for Halloween, so clearly Bob wins.
Wait, what?
Alex dressed up as Bob from Bob's Burgers for Halloween.
Not by choice, and that has nothing to do with this argument.
I think it proves that Bob's the best. Or he would have dressed up like Mo. So, let's put that out there. Basically, Bob wins. This is what I'm getting at.
Okay, well, I guess we're done with our fanfic fights for this week. You can email us to let us know who you thought won the argument. And that email is abcpodcast92@gmail.com. In addition to fanfic fights winners, you can send us ideas for future fanfic fights. You can send us ideas for future segments, for things to talk about. You can tell us what you liked about the show, what you didn't like about the show. If you want to hear Robyn back on the show, if you want to hear Kenzie on the show in the future, you can tell us pretty much anything. And if it is appropriate, we will read it on the air. You have my guarantee. So again, that email is abcpodcast92.
He's the only who gets to read the emails.
That email is abcpodcast92@gmail.com. Before we get out of here, one last thing. So I know that normally, after we talk about a movie, we usually wait a week before we announce the new movie. However, I'm going to change things up a little bit so I'm announcing our new movies this week. It's a double feature of Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness, because 2 weeks from now, the new Star Trek movie, Star Trek Beyond, is going to come out. So I want us to all have watched it and talk about it and be ready for the new movie to come out. So those are our 2 movies to watch and talk about 2 weeks from now. So make sure to get that done. Not only so we can talk about it and you can share your thoughts with us, but for yourself, so that when the new movie comes out, you're ready and caught up and excited to go see Star Trek Beyond. So that's it for our show. You can follow me on Twitter at AtariAlex. That's also my username for Instagram and Snapchat and Tumblr and MySpace and Tinder and all of the places on the internet.
If you find them on Tinder, please let me know. I need to know these things.
You can find our links to our YouTube channel and our iTunes page, as well as Brandon's Twitter handle. That's all on my Twitter bio. I also tweet Brandon all the time, so you can just scroll through my timeline and find him there. Do you want to be found online?
Just look at him tweeting me all the time weird things.
Yeah, I do that too.
About cats.
Yep.
That's like the only thing he'll be tweeted about.
Because cats are wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's it for our show this week. I hope you all enjoyed every single second of it.
All 4 hours of it.
And we will catch you all next week.
Bye.